this professor, Cal Newport from University of Georgetown, he wrote a book called So Good They Can Ignore You. And he's talking about like how to be successful in your career or business. And then he wrote a book called Deep Work. And he says that the number one predictor of success in modern society, like right now, is your ability to focus on one task for a long period of time without being distracted.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 4Media Uncut podcast. Today we have another absolute fire guest, the previous CEO of MentorBox, Mr. Jonathon Kendall.
And I'm sure you know what MentorBox is, but just in case you don't, Mr. Ty Lopez, Mr. Knowledge in the garage.
Fuel units.
That man. And I'm sure if you look into MentorBox, you'll be like, I remember these guys. But essentially what they did, they were the first people that kind of made the digital education version of SparkNotes on every business book. And Jonathon Kendall was the head of that operation as CEO of it. So you can only imagine how intellectual this person is. And he comes from a philosophy background. So very, very, very interesting conversation.
Super smart.
Here. After that, he went on, just to sum it all up so you understand the background here, he went on to raise $100 million through ads. He ran ads, got investors to invest money legally, like followed every single government rule down to the T. It was an insane operation. I think it was 1 million to 100 million. I may be wrong. Listen to the podcast. That was with Ty Lopez. That 100 million was used to buy Radio Shack, Pier 1 Imports, all these other brands that you've known and shopped at as a kid, or for somebody that are too young, your parents shopped at. He went and bought those and raised the money to be able to buy those. So super, super influential person. He's the quietest guy in the room, but he asks the most questions at the same time. And that's what I absolutely love the most about him. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Mr. Jonathon Kendall. You live in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
For a start. And
No taxes.
No, it's not for taxes.
Okay.
That's not why.
whoa, okay. I was going to bring it up later.
No, I'm joking. It's obviously for
Bro, what's your background, bro? What's your background? Like, where are you from ethnically?
Mexican.
Mexican?
My
fully?
mom's Mexican. Yeah.
Kendall? Last name?
Yeah,
Mexican?
my dad is like British Irish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the story there? Like, where'd you grow up and stuff?
I grew up in Michigan and Ohio, kind of equally.
Okay.
So I was born in Michigan. My parents' families are both from Michigan. Grandparents are from Kentucky on my dad's side. Coal miners.
Coal miners?
Coal miners, proper.
That's like a first.
Damn.
I don't know many coal miner. Like, unless someone's telling me about their great-grandpa in, like, the 1920s. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's not many coal miners now.
Yeah, for sure. They moved up to Michigan because the coal mine, went out of business or whatever.
Okay.
And
We
they went to
didn't let him finish that sentence.
no, and then they went to another coal mine, and then in like northern Michigan or something, and then ended up working in Detroit.
Yeah. How'd you like Detroit?
It's coming back. It's been coming back for, 40 years or something. But
Not in sports, like just
No,
Detroit.
just Detroit. No, that.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yikes.
No, my mom's from Detroit. And
yeah.
I feel like all growing up, I always heard like Detroit's coming back though.
Yeah, that's the joke.
I hate Detroit.
They got beaten down, but we're coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love Michigan. I'm not gonna lie. It's not my favorite state.
It's
I don't love Ohio
it's actually
either. My dad's from Ohio. My mom's from Michigan. Sorry, mom and dad.
like downtown
don't.
Cleveland, like downtown area is pretty nice if you've been there.
Like Columbus is kind of cool.
But I'm
like,
talking about literally a square mile in an entire state.
Exactly.
So I feel like I
But
can't
to be
value
fair-
Ann Arbor is nice.
Ann Arbor's nice.
But to be fair, we're talking about like Atlanta when like you go like Georgia and Atlanta are like two different places.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know much about Georgia.
If you go like an hour like outside of Atlanta anywhere, you're in like the sticks. I feel like outside the perimeter.
Oh, the state, like
you're in like redneck town.
yeah, an hour. For reference, we're like 35 minutes. No, outside of actual.
Outside
Atlanta,
of actual
we're
Atlanta.
like
outside
20
the perimeter.
minutes. We're like 20
This
minutes.
is a really nice area.
You like
Yeah.
it?
I mean, where the event was.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
came from an event. And
It's
a pretty-
super fancy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I know you went to the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, so like
Wolverines.
first of all, like was your background financially as a family? I guess coal mining, like were they balling out? I don't know what income looks like in coal mining.
Yeah, my other grandparents were migrant workers.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up in Michigan from Texas, Michigan. going back and forth depending on like Steinbeck, depending on the whatever was growing in season. So both families not very rich, but they both ended up working for General Motors. So ended up being like decent, middle class because of the unions. So it wasn't that bad,
Okay.
But not super poor, but definitely lower middle class, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
not super wealthy.
And then you went and studied philosophy?
Yeah.
Like, were you smart? Like, did you get like a scholarship? Like, I know that's not a quantifiable way to say smart, but at least for school it is.
Yeah, I was smart.
Okay.
Nice.
Like what kind of smart? Like holy fuck, he's always the top of the list smart, or like a 3.9 smart? You know what I mean?
Like higher than a 4.0 smart.
Yeah, okay. Like the first one. Yeah. You want to hear a funny story? I've never told this. At least not on this or anything publicly. But when I graduated, have I told this story? Okay,
I don't know. You just said when I graduated. I don't know what story you're gonna tell.
There's only one story.
Okay.
Since I've graduated, there's only one story.
No,
And it's
when?
called
When?
For
Not
Me.
since.
Oh, sorry.
When?
Oh, when? Okay.
So on the day
I
of
don't
my
think so.
graduation, I went to a big school. We had like 50,000 students. So graduations were fucking massive. But something happened with my credit, so I ended up graduating in the winter, which is like less massive. Okay. It's
Yeah.
not like a whole stadium. It's like a basketball court.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting on a basketball court. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Compared to like a football
literally
field.
the basketball court.
Literally, that's where it is. Yeah.
Did you go to UGA or something?
UGA, yeah.
okay.
Okay, cool. So, I forgot you went
You
to
just
Michigan.
crushed
So
us.
we understand each other's schools pretty well.
Yeah.
So, they go and they're like, valedictorian, Jonathon Kendall. Is it Kendall? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Valedictorian Andrew Deitch, and the head of like the top of whatever of Dean's list of whatever 4.3 and above all 4 years stand and sorry, and they didn't say a name. Sorry, they didn't say stand. They didn't say a name. And she just said that. And I was like, okay, they're about to like now say like 6 names. But I had already told my friend, whatever the fuck is next, we're standing, because it's not one person. It's more than one. You know what I mean? Like, we can get away with this. Like, our parents, it doesn't matter. This is the end of our college career. We're not going to be doctors. Like, there's no more after this for us. We both agree. So why not let our parents just think we got a 4.3 and make them proud for the rest of their life?
You're so right.
And we fucking did it. I stood up and it was me, him, and 4 other people in the entire fucking school. And they didn't read the names. And we got away with it. And everyone just fucking clapped. I looked up at my family, bro, in the stands, like probably like row J or some shit. And I looked, my mom's fucking wiping tears. My dad's just like, man, he fucking did it. They're screaming. It's like, and his family, it was just like his mom and his brother, they're screaming and I'm like, damn, I made them proud. I'm never going to tell them this shit again, right? And so I don't say anything. They're like so proud. They're like, anywhere you want to eat, let's go. You graduate 4.3, all the shit. Anyways, like 5 years later, I tell this story in front of their face to someone else at like a dinner gathering. And they're like, what the fuck? You didn't get a 4.3? So I let it last for like 5 years, but I pretended to be you.
They probably told thousands of people.
Them?
Yeah.
Everyone, all the way to Lebanon. Canada,
for sure.
every one of their relatives, they
For
all,
sure.
and they're think about it too. They're justifying how their perception of my success is in business just from like online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're justifying that perception also to a 4.3. They're like, I mean, you got a 4.3. It makes sense. You know what I mean?
Perfect sense.
Pierre told me his son got a 4.3, so of course he's, doing these conferences and stuff.
Do you think that were they worried or that you were taking a risk, like going out on your own?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, not to make this about me, so I'm not gonna get too into it, but I basically went to, I studied for the LSAT to go to law school.
Okay.
I got a great score, so I basically got a scholarship to law school, in Georgia. And then I just like pulled out of it, and I was like 3 years of studying this, and then like knowing the law better, or 3 years of doing something else and like actually doing something. It doesn't even have to be the same thing for all 3 years. It just like, I'm talking about like being productive, like 12 hours a day of productivity, not school where I can like still party a lot and shit. Like, let me just focus. So I dropped out of that and decided not to do it. And they were fucking stressed for like, holy shit, I remember for years. They're like, and they're like trying to explain it to their friends. They're Lebanese. I think your parents would have a very hard time explaining to their friends in Mexico 10 years ago, let's say, that their son like works from a laptop.
Yeah.
It actually didn't exist. Like, like from his bedroom, more specifically. Like, does he have an office? No, he just like has a desk at home and he works on his computer. Like, okay, like does the company ship stuff? Like, where does he? No, he just sits on. He does marketing from his computer, and they're like, okay, that's like your son doesn't do anything, kind of thing. Like that was the reaction. Yeah. I would see it like with my eyes. So they were pretty. I mean, my mom's like, I was never afraid. I'm like, you were so afraid. You had talks with me. They would like sit me down. Like, when are we gonna get serious? When are we gonna consider law school? I'm like, you guys know I made $15,000 last month. Like, why the fuck are we having this conversation? Like, why are you still scared? Like,
wait, they knew that? They knew that you were making that much money?
Bro, I showed my mom and dad when I like dropped my first course and posted it on my story. I made a pretty good chunk of change for like not making money back then. I made like 28 grand in like 24 hours.
That's sick.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. And I went and I was like, guys, I just made 28 grand in 48 hours. Like, and that she tells me to this day, that was the moment she was like, oh shit. Like, I think he's okay now. Like, we don't need to worry about him.
Hell
you know
yeah.
what I mean? I'm surprised they were worried. That my dad said he was never worried, which I believe, because he's seen me change his company. You know, I've been into two of my dad's companies and I completely changed them. Profit margin wise, revenue wise, like literally within a year span, completely like 2x the company that hadn't ever grown in the last like 10 years. So as like a, you know, even as like a 19-year-old, he had like some sort of respect for me from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But anyways, Michigan.
You know, I feel like, how could you even the psychology of just maintaining for like 15 or 20 years? Was it that he didn't want to, or that he didn't know how to?
My dad,
and not he, but maybe just anyone. Like, what do we think? Like these types of businesses that have just maintaining for 15 years. Like
my dad, like in his company, I've asked him that so many times, and he's always told me like he's content with like where he's at. I mean, I view the stagnation as kind of like a down, like a signal of like you could like lose everything pretty quickly because like it's not growing. It's probably going down. But anyways, he just like he almost views it as like he owns some time, a lot more time freedom and ownership of like a pretty good job. Like he does the stuff he needs to do. He keeps it moving. He could hire someone else to like probably do a lot of the stuff that he does, but he enjoys doing it and he's cool with making that much money. Like he's just like not like super motivated by just like building this empire. He's just like, I'm cool with just doing my thing. I don't have to really report to anybody, so I can kind of do whatever I want. But right now I'm like cool with doing the day to day and
yeah, I have a different scenario.
He's not super motivated. I don't think that's the situation with your dad because your dad has now.
I meet a lot of people like your dad.
Yeah,
a lot more than I expect.
Yeah, and it was weird because when we were in like network marketing, I viewed it as like a bad thing. So it's like my dad doesn't want to fucking build an empire, dude. Yeah. Like my dad, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I'm like,
he doesn't want to like retire his parents.
Dude, he doesn't want to retire.
They always guilted us with that. You know, it's funny. I remember one time they were like, because I was like, we did network marketing, as you can tell, and we talked about earlier. But for a bit, I was like a star child in the community because we grew a team so quickly. Like everyone just like latched on to our team of like, wow, I like where this team's headed. And like, you know, I guess in an indirect way, we had a vision and we had good leadership. And like, you know, we kind of did a decent job like getting people excited about it. And they like always wanted you to incentivize people to get money or do better to like retire your parents for some reason. It was like the theme, like, yeah,
a big why,
easy big
why.
But like all of them, like a guy making $1 million a month, a guy making $250 a month, a guy making $40K a month, all wanted to retire their parents. And they like put me on the stage, like the spotlight, like Eddie, like, you know, why do you want to do this? I'm like, honestly, guys, like it was like a very intense. It was like a kind of like like a retreat kind of feel in a way. Like we're all in this room and everyone's like getting all deep and shit. And I'm like, dude, honestly, man, I just want to be like really fucking good at this. This shit's like fun and I just want to win. Like this is a cool way to win. Like we're all just like, I don't know. I just want to be better than the rest of you guys here, honestly. Like not
like a video game.
Not to be a dick.
Yeah.
I want to bring you with me, but like I want to be like number one at the same time. That's pretty much it. Man, like what about your parents? I'm like, they're fucking millionaires. Honestly, I think they're fine, bro. Like I'm not really too worried about that. I think they're more worried about me, man. I need to. But that one stuck. That was reality. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't know where so my situation is different. My dad, just to clarify, my dad's businesses were stagnant because he was focused on other aspects of the business. So there's 2 companies in this situation. One is a water park overseas, which has been super successful for a long time, but became stagnant again.
I'm sure that's difficult, but it sounds fun in theory.
It's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
I would never want to own one in America. That's for sure. With like actual laws and insurance and shit like that. Lawsuits left and right guaranteed. My daughter slipped in the wave pool and busted her head open. I'm like, fuck. In Lebanon, they're like, yeah, hold it. All right, ambulance will be here in like 10 minutes. Just like, don't die. And we'll put you in there and we'll pay for everything if we can, to help you out. We'll pay for the hospital bill. That's why, like, we negotiate with the hospital and the doctors. You know what I mean? Like, take care of these guys, give them full treatment, discount it heavily for us. Yeah, which I think is a fair deal. If you run and slip and you fuck up your head and I come and it's your fault, it says no running everywhere 100 million times and
You get a discount for economies of scale.
That's what I'm saying.
It happens so often.
It was economies of scale, right? So I learned these principles like that.
You're like, we're going to have a serious injury every month for the next 30 years.
We guarantee
want
you
discounts.
a surgery once a week. You know what I mean? Would you like it or
Whoa.
not? Not that much, obviously.
That's funny.
There's not that much liability, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying
Yeah,
it.
it was a dark joke.
Yeah, dark.
That was funny. That was really funny. That's like a dirt bike track having like a relationship with like spinal cord doctors. It's like
which they do.
Yeah.
They probably do.
But it's also best for the person. That's the win-win about it.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
win-win.
good for the
getting them
doctor,
good-
it's
you're
good for
getting
the
them good
business, but it's
treatment.
good for the
Makes
person.
sense,
Like you
makes
paid for
sense.
my treatment. Like that was
Makes
fucking nice of you. I know I shouldn't be fucking running and busting my tooth open.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me a new tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So Michigan, philosophy major.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then went to Guatemala. Did marketing for a company that was like an alternative spring break.
Okay.
So instead of going to
This is while you're in college or after?
after,
Okay.
and
What was your wait before that? Sorry. Like what mentality going into college and also coming out of college? What was that like? Like were you going to college and you're like, okay, I'm definitely philosophy is going to be fun to learn and like this is going to help me a lot, or I just want to learn it, or like what?
no, I didn't know anything. I was really political. I thought political science, maybe law school, maybe
Okay.
like professor, like more.
I
just
could see
general
all these
academia.
things in you.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then I ended up getting mostly heavily involved in extracurriculars. I was like the president of this and, that kind of shit. And that took up most of my energy in college. And taught
What
me a
kind of
lot about
programs were you
leadership.
the president of?
One was basically like voice your vote, it was called. And so it was, get everyone registered to vote. And the same thing, it was a game. And I was I'm going to get everyone registered.
Exactly. Everyone.
Everyone in
You're gonna have the
school.
highest percentage the school has ever seen in voters.
Yeah, actually, I won some award and they like sent me to Washington D.C. because we had the highest percentage of any
That's
public
sick.
school in the country.
That's funny.
They're like, could you do this for our actual country as a whole? Like, would this same strategy work for 300 million people?
We had this. It was really interesting. I got this contract because I didn't think the student government. We were technically like a part of the student government, and I didn't like my budget, and so I made a side relationship contract with a couple nonprofits that would pay us per registration form.
Wow, no
Damn.
way.
Yeah, so we
Big move.
So we immediately had the biggest budget of any organization on campus, and so we were just throwing money everywhere. We had T-shirts that would have
That's such a move, bro.
yeah, and
What a move.
yeah,
Dude, like, wow.
and so we advertised the shit out of everyone knew us and everyone knew everything about registering because we just had so much marketing money compared to any other organization. And then
Like,
would throw-
were these guys jealous at that point? I'd be like, fuck, we're losing to the voting guys, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we've ran this club for 30 years.
Yeah, it was fun though. I mean, I learned a lot about leadership, and we had an executive team and like hundreds of volunteers on our email list. That we had to get people to show up for this various things, and logistics and organization, and getting shit with the government and the student body and the university, and just getting it was a complex shit. That
You
was
got to
like,
learn how to get shit done.
yeah, honestly, that was I think the best part of university is like running that program and building it and maintaining all of the. It was like a mini business basically, with except the KPI was number of
votes registered.
And I like that it was also nonpartisan. So I knew I was like really in with the college Republicans and really in with the college Democrats. So I knew the leadership of both of the parties because we could help both of them. Really, we would help like co-sponsor both of their events. So I got to meet like a lot of high level politicians as well. And I my end goal for business is always like philosophy and like macroeconomics and like big societal changes. Like I'm super, super ambitious in that. And I feel like capital is just one of the major forms of leverage. So I want a shit ton of it so that whatever I want to impact, I'm able to impact without
bro.
Asking for someone else to please help me. It's like, no, I got it. So,
yeah, you're so right.
Unfortunately, some decisions in life only can be done with money.
For sure.
And it has to be your own.
And they're big decisions.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I used to read a lot. I mean, I still read a lot, but I used to read a lot more like self-development, and then it evolved into like business, and then it evolved into like specifically digital marketing. But now I read a lot of like history and like macroeconomics and
Ray Dalio.
Yeah, Ray Dalio, and like the history of money and currencies, and like that kind of like big swaths. And I don't have enough money to like really start impacting it, but my vision is like, I could do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, give me another 20 years. Like,
I
might
less,
be in
bro.
that. Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
10,
totally.
10 is a long time.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, bro, we opened this office 1 year and 2 months and a week ago. 14, let's call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
And we're nothing compared to like where the growth, not percentage wise, but total wise, that you'll see 7 to 8 years, 8 to 9 years, 9 to 10 is like
insane
compared to 1 to 2, 2 to 3.
Did I tell you this? I just read this book, The Price of Tomorrow, and one of the openings is, this is crazy. It blew my mind. It changed the way I thought about time and like the compound effect. Basically, he says if you take a piece of paper and you fold it one time, it grows in thickness or height, however depending you want to think about it, like twice as high.
Mm-hmm.
Do it again. Do it again. He said if you do it 50 times, what is your guess for how tall the piece of paper is? And the average guess is like 2 feet, something like that. And I in my mind I thought like maybe like a meter or something. And I think that's fucking super high.
Yeah.
Is that kind of
because you can't fold it 50 times? You're saying like hypothetically, if you could,
just
would it be that?
mathematically,
Yeah.
like imagine if you could.
You're saying like it was a 2-fold, then it was a 4, then it was an 8.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna guess crazy because it's like
I mean I kind of set it up, but
like a mile or some shit.
A mile? Oh, I thought you were confirming it.
Oh, this is a podcast. I'm gesturing. Okay.
Eddie.
Fuck. I mean, what is it? What's the math on that? Just curious.
Just give a guess. 50 times.
My
50
guess was like
50
a
like
meter,
squared.
just to give you an idea. And I was wrong.
No, it's not 50 squared. It's 2 to the 50th power.
Yeah. Sorry.
Fucking insane. That's millions. What is it?
It
Millions.
goes to the sun.
Huh?
It would go to the sun.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's insanity, bro.
Holy shit.
50 times.
That's wild. Because it would just get so tiny.
Double.
No, yeah.
No,
well, no, you would
it's
double
not-
every
it's
time.
I mean, imagine it's super
50
wide. It doesn't matter.
Imagine it's
just-
the size of a planet.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It just,
It
remember,
just
we're
keeps
just
on
talking
folding.
thickness,
It's like-
so it doesn't matter. All they're saying is it becomes
Holy
thick and
shit.
then twice as thick and twice as thick.
And then
That's
it gets
insane.
right.
yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's
To the sun.
This actually totally changed my
Bro.
outsourcing business. I was on a run in the morning listening to this, and I was like, what the fuck? And we had in 2 years, we went from 10 employees to 400. So that's an idea of kind of how, to your point, like how maybe I'm wrong 20 years, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 5 or whatever, right? But we changed our business model a little bit, and we're doing more joint ventures, and where we have other agencies that need help, and we do the back end. And so now instead of having one public funnel, we could have 1,000 public funnels, right? And that's compounding, right? So it's not even how many leads do I have, it's how many leads do all of our partners have that are selling what we're doing on the back end.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my CEO like a month and a half ago about this, and I said, I don't think anyone understands what this means. Like, in terms of, you think it's a meter, you think it's 2 feet, you think it's a mile, you think it's, Empire State Building,
but
whatever.
it took me a lot of time to even get to the thought of millions.
Yeah.
The first assumption was like up to your hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like before you really think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that in business, when you like
I'm still
referrals
thinking about it,
and
for the
even
record.
your own reputation, I think, has this ability to scale. Right?
Yeah,
we just had this amazing event, congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate you calling it that.
Yeah,
it
for
was absolutely
context
amazing.
for the listeners, we just wrapped up Agency Founders.
Yeah.
We're literally
Exactly.
exhausted out of our mind. We're grateful that he even walked in here. We asked him and he ordered a coffee the same second.
There we
just
go.
For reference. So.
Yeah. And I mean, that we were talking about, one of the cool things about what you did was you didn't have any upsells. There was no, like, people have gone to events. They know that they're going to
Every
get some
event
value.
has a
every
sale
event
at
is
the
going,
end.
and, for $50,000, you get the VIP or, whatever.
Yeah.
Or some kind of recurring thing. And hopefully it's valuable, and that's fine.
It should be, right?
Yeah,
That's why
It
it's
should
right.
be.
Yeah. But there was nothing. It was like not even a hint or a sniff. There was nothing. It wasn't
Yeah,
we say there's nothing, but there's really something in the back
Yeah.
end. There really was nothing. And it was all value, super tactical. So there wasn't any, I'm in people's ears, and there was no one that was like, oh yeah, well, they're going to try to sell us this, or, oh yeah, like they were really, that wasn't really value. They were actually trying to like get us to partner with them on that.
Yeah,
Like, people
yeah.
sell from the stage.
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
And everyone's like kind of mind blown,
Yeah.
that it was just all value. And that reputationally is going to compound like
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly.
And every one of them, has another 10 people that could be a buyer, let's say next year, or, for something.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what it is, why you were supposed to do what you did. If you just believe in, the serendipity of the universe, it'll come back. The karmic wheel will come back.
I don't disagree 100%. I mean, I don't disagree at all. Is what I'm trying to say.
You
Like,
agree 100%.
I agree. I'm like, whoa, that really
We're so tired.
But
took a few quotes.
my point
there.
here is that you had like 100, 200 people there, and then that's going to be next year if you want to, without even doing any advertising. It's probably if you wanted it to be 500, it could be.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but do I want it to be?
I'm not
500?
saying you do.
I'm asking you, what would I know you're trying to connect with more people, right? But like, there's a kind of event that's, and here's what I was thinking. I was thinking we do 2 events a year.
Mm-hmm.
The first event is not really a limited number, but the second event, the one that's like June, July, is an event that's like only for people at a certain point.
Yeah.
And that's the one that stays limited. And like no matter what we do, it never goes over like 50 or 40. You get what I'm saying? It's just a lot tighter. It's not
Kind of like
a yearly
kind of like a mastermind.
Yeah, but not like a yearly mastermind. Just another event where we all get a ticket.
It's only for Agency Founders NFT holders. If you go to any, I'm just kidding.
No, exactly. But it could be even something
It
like
could
that
be.
at the
It
end
could
of the
be.
day.
Here's what I
It
would
could
say.
be, and it
is
probably
you
will be
didn't-
eventually.
You didn't do any breakout sessions. And so if you're not going to do breakout sessions, it for sure could scale to 5,000.
Yeah.
Because the information that you're getting from stage is the information you're getting from stage. If there's 5,000 people in the audience, it's going to be a similar experience.
Yeah. It's easily scalable.
It's easily scalable. Now, if you're doing breakout sessions
Oh,
of 10 and
God.
15
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
then you got to keep it at 100 or even less,
Mhm.
really. But I think if you do it in the same vein where you're not doing breakout sessions, then why not?
I don't always love breakout sessions. I sometimes I don't like it because I feel like it's like these are all the B players that are like I'm having to choose which B players I want to listen to. It's like I want to listen to like the A players.
But what if
But
the
that's
breakouts
your
were A
point.
players?
But that's your point of a separate one that's more expensive, And
It does look honestly, it doesn't even need to be more expensive.
but it has to be to filter them out.
Not
kinda-
necessarily. I'd rather
Unless you just say no.
yeah.
You just
Unless
on the
it's
call,
only
you
personal.
say,
Yeah, that's
listen,
it.
you're not at this level. Go to this one instead.
I'm like, I don't need to know your financials, but like at least send me like a screenshot of your payroll monthly, and I can
Yeah.
make a decision if like you're at the point where we feel like you belong in the circle of people, because that's a pretty important part of it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, we want to talk to people who are, I mean, at least as someone in the agency space, I only want to talk to someone who has a fuck ton of staff. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you being really good at like the logistics of your e-commerce distribution or factory or whatever it is very interesting to me, don't get me wrong. But like, if I'm going to spend 3 days with someone who's really fucking good at something, I want them to have a ton of people on their team, because that's where most of my problems are going to come from and be solved from.
yeah.
That's my, like, for me,
sure.
at least, you know what I mean? So I feel like once you break a certain threshold in that, then the problems become different kind of problem.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like revenue is just one of the variables. Also, payroll, number of employees is another variable as a filter. But I mean, I would come
Yeah.
for sure.
I would love to have you.
Yeah.
But anyways, who fucking knows what we're actually doing with this event is the reality.
But I think this is an interesting thought experiment
Mhm.
about, because a lot of listeners want to do their own events and they're thinking, how do I structure it? How many people do I have it? At what price point? How do I have breakout sessions? Do I not?
Yeah.
Do I scale it? Do I have a virtual version? Do I not have a virtual version? Do I sell the videos afterwards as a course? I mean, all of this stuff is, to me, it's an interesting deconstruction of the case study of like how to think about the decisions you make when you're creating something that, if you wanted to, this is the first one kicked ass,
yeah.
you know, fast forward 10 years, you do these for 10 years. There's no reason why it can't be, you know, a Tony Robbins stadium if you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
I wonder how
Because
many.
100 will turn into 200, it
more
will
than
turn into
fair, yeah.
400, will turn into 1,000, 1,000. You know, this is
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
I mean, this is a long full circle, but this is why I said the fold of paper,
Paper
50
analogy.
times.
Yeah,
Like 5 years from now, you could have 20,000 people.
Yeah.
for sure. I wonder how many agencies are in the world. Because in the United States is one thing, in the world is another. Like, I wonder in what countries have like the most agencies.
Well, it might, you might have to add an and. Agency founders and digital marketers or something. You know?
Yeah.
Like it'd have to expand.
Yeah. No, one thing I did love about the event though was like I've been to other marketing events and stuff, and it's always like it's like e-commerce brands or whatever, agencies, SaaS companies, stuff like that. So like when you're all hanging out, it's like, is this person my potential client? Is this person trying to get me to be their client? Are they trying to pitch me on some software? But it was like here, I felt like every time I talked to someone, it was like there was no pressure of like what we were about to talk about, because we were all going to just talk about agency shit.
That's fair.
And
And I really liked that.
Yeah.
you couldn't really close a client here.
Except for maybe Josh.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Agency therapy.
It's different when you're
I know, I'm just kidding.
when like you talk to someone and they end up being a prospect, or you end up being a prospect of theirs sometimes.
Yeah.
Not from like, I feel like most prospects had to be some sort of JV prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a ton of JVs.
Exactly, right? And like even like Tommy, if he wants to acquire someone, that's a JV in a way. You know what I mean? It's literally
Yeah.
a joint venture.
Yeah.
So like I like you couldn't like go and get someone on a retainer in this room, if that made sense.
For sure.
It was, you know what I mean? And that's what I
Yeah.
want it to be. So
Yeah. I handed off a ton of phone numbers and already made introductions to my head of partnerships, and none of them are going to be on retainer, I don't think.
exactly.
You know, it's, I mean, maybe it happens and,
But yeah, maybe it happens. I get it. But I guess maybe you just didn't go in the room and say like, let me see how many people will get my VA services.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Michigan graduated philosophy. Fucking wow. Usually
Went
it's his
to-
job to bring it back. I'm bringing it back today.
No, I feel like this is a fun one because we kind of just rolled into it. But yeah, let's get back to your story because I'm definitely interested.
So I did marketing
Yeah,
in
so you-
Guatemala, and we were trying to get students to not party in Daytona Beach, but instead do
party in Guatemala.
No, like
just right
like
down the road.
Voluntourism. So that sort of thing. So they would
Okay.
like build a house or something.
Okay,
Or
okay.
they would
Yeah.
Where
teach
they
English.
would
mission
build
trip
a house
type.
and then party in it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we had a party like the first weekend and the second weekend, but then
Nice.
in between they would be
Build
and they were out
houses
in
and shit.
a village that like didn't even speak Spanish. It was like Mayan villages, like
Whoa.
no electricity, like super extreme. You know?
Damn.
God.
Yeah. And so our whole
Where did
we-
they party?
No, I mean there's a town like the Spanish town called Antigua, which is highly recommended to anyone go down there. It's super badass. But so they would stay there for the first weekend and then they would go out.
I got you.
come
Go back there.
And we realized really quickly that our impact on the world was not building these houses, because in fact we were just like slowing the NGOs down and slowing the nonprofits down and kind of getting in their way. And if we really wanted to help, we would recruit people to be there for like 6 months, and really
Like a missionary.
yeah, like interact with the community and learn the community, not just in and out and like almost like,
In,
hey,
like, a week.
look, there's these people that don't have electricity. Like that's kind of weirdly
Yeah.
how
You
it
come
felt.
back and you're like, wow, I'm so humbled.
Yeah, but what we realized was we recruited from Yale and Stanford, and we had these really high end schools because it was
They
expensive.
basically would
and-
get like a free vacation, right?
well, what it was we realized that a lot of them were super privileged and come from wealthy families,
Yeah.
and they hadn't been in that type of environment. They hadn't experienced anything like that. Like they just hadn't been to a third world country, and it was that's what we were doing, is we were kind of shocking their system a little bit so that when they were business owners or lawyers or doctors or members of their community, leaders of their community, they would have had that experience, and maybe they changed their worldview a little bit, had some more
Yeah, yeah.
perspective, and then started going to other places like that so that
That's like
they
a
could
deep
bring
form.
in.
That's like a deep form of marketing. You're like shocking their system to remind them about it.
I want to ask you
when they
something
have
like
the
super
assets.
extreme,
Yeah.
and you can just answer, and we'll beep it out if you want us to beep out the answer and the question.
Okay.
Have you ever done acid before, like mushrooms of some sort? Okay, cool. I figured you did.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Do
continue.
you care? Do you care if we beep it out or no?
No.
Okay.
You don't have to beep it out.
Okay, cool. Just making sure,
Yeah.
What-
I'd rather you answer it and get it beeped out than not talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you say that because of Guatemala, or like what made you ask that question?
Just your explanation of why you guys did this. That's it. I'm not saying you did
Like
it
it was
before you
woo?
did this.
Are you saying it's like woo woo, our explanation?
Maybe,
Uh,
but not really. I believe that.
You think it was like a
reminds me-
justification that we came up with after the fact? Because that's how I felt. But I interpret it as like a realization that we had, not as
Yeah,
like
I think it's more of a realization.
like we really thought we were like, oh, we're gonna help these communities, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
realized we're not actually helping these communities,
yeah.
and then we thought, oh, what we're doing is we're changing the minds of these like rich kids,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
they come back and they have this different perspective.
No,
and that's
I'm
really
on
what
the
we're
same
doing.
page. Yeah.
But
No,
you think
but-
it's like an acid trip explanation?
No, I don't think this has nothing to do with the acid trip itself.
Oh, okay.
It has to do with the change of character that occurs from one.
Oh yeah.
like you said,
Oh,
like a
right.
shock.
Yeah, right.
Like,
No, you're right,
I don't
though.
know, your just perspective on why you were doing it and why what you were doing in the first place wasn't actually helping, and what you're doing in the second place. I
It's
don't know,
like-
comes from a death of ego at some point.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like maybe not completely, because everyone still has an ego of some sort, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when you do those kind of things, like you really look at the world in a different perspective and feel humbled about how insignificant you kind of are in a weird way.
Like you said, it's like a shock to the system, kind of.
Yeah. My mom still says to this day that when I came back from Guatemala, I was like totally different. And your mom knows you better than anyone.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So she was like, there was a before Guatemala and an after Guatemala Jonathan. She always says that.
Wow. Is that where you did it? In Guatemala?
No.
Okay. I was like, it just got even crazier.
But to your point,
He's like, there's just like 1 hour that I just like did it, and my mom said I'm a different person.
there was this one of our logistical people who was in charge of making sure that like transportation and everything. I remember one day at the office, he said, "Oh, you see this flower? Like, don't eat it because it'll make you hallucinate for like 48 hours." It's called like the bell or something, or
Yeah.
like there was like upside down bell. And I was like, it's just here, like this, like right here, like this thing.
This thing will make me trip
For 48 hours, and he's like, yeah, he's like, you'll be like unconscious, and like you'll you won't remember anything and you'll basically be blacked out for 48 hours. I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely not going to take that for sure. It was just in our office. He's like, yeah, it's just a thing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I guess I could have had one.
Blackout.
He said that it was like a super intense hallucinogenic such that you are not present. Like, people say like DMT is like that, right? Where you go into a different realm. You're not like, oh, this looks trippy. It's not that. It's like this doesn't even exist. You're in a different realm. You know, you're not even
your
in
body's
this.
unconscious.
You like time travel.
I would have taken that shit right away, honestly. Like, why not, bro? Why not? Like, you're telling me 48 hours I'll be back and it'll be like nothing happened. Sign me up, bro. Let's go explore. You know what I mean? I don't know, bro.
Let's go explore.
I mean, why not?
Have you heard of like what do they call it? Psychonauts, like astronauts, but people that take like new, on the edge, like chemist stuff to explore like their inner, like people that go,
oh wow,
astronauts, outer space.
Really?
Yeah. There's like a community of people
that just love tripping on like all kinds of shit. Like they'll do experimental shit.
I'd love to read their blogs and shit. Not necessarily do that, but like read their blogs and just see like. There
was a guy on Vice a while ago that was kind of like that. Like his series was kind of like a psychonaut kind of series.
Yeah, and he did the Toad one.
Yep. And he would like do acid and like go into like a flotation tank or something and like tell you about it.
Okay, so
like he did all kinds of stuff though.
So
what was his name? I can't remember.
After this, YouTube, Mike Tyson, like philosophy or Mike Tyson quotes or something like that, because I heard Mike Tyson talk at another event, and I was like, oh, this is funny. It was at Dan Fleischman's event, the 100 MMA, and it's always so I saw him at Dan Fleischman's event, and Dan Fleischman's event is kind of a combination of like tactical, but also it's really enjoyable. It's like a fun time, and there's a lot of celebrities, like A-list celebrities, right? And so Mike Tyson comes on, and you're like, oh shit, Mike Tyson's right here. Like, that's interesting, you know, and you get to take pictures with him and everything. That guy, because he's taken, admittedly, so many hallucinogenics, he is a philosopher now, man.
Really?
Like, just really, I'm telling you, YouTube, Mike Tyson, he is deep. Like, on podcasts, he calls people out for, like, their ego shit. You're like, oh, that's ego. Like, he's, like, really, he's gone down the toad rabbit hole, like, super hard. And I'm not saying that, like, symbolically. I mean, he actually talks about this toad drug,
licking toads.
You know, like the DMT toad drug. And he's like, it totally changed his ego and his whole reality. You're just down for that?
Is that it? You just lick them?
No, I don't know. I think do something now.
They dry it or something.
They do something now where they like literally, because before it was like, let's lick a toad or whatever. But they like literally take the toad's like stuff that's coming out of his back or whatever, like dry it on like a sheet, and then like take a razor blade and like scrape it into like powder, basically, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
But apparently,
so
it's the
like
strongest form of DMT.
It's something wild.
But
yeah, me neither.
I don't even like.
I have.
I don't even like taking like anything. I feel my brain is just like already, I don't know, running like fast enough that I'm like,
I've never done.
I feel
shrooms.
out of control.
I've done acid one time in my life.
You didn't like it?
If that gives a perspective.
Did you?
No, it's not about liking it or not liking it. It's just like, I did it to understand a different perspective, and I gained that perspective. I don't want to, I guess, keep doing something that could be of, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've never thought of why not again. You know what I mean? But
I think it's good to do it like every couple of years or every few years, just to like
reset button, right? I never had a perspective until he kind of made sure to say, like, basically I felt like I needed to say, just to clarify, like, I'm not like tripping on acid all the time. It's like done it one time.
You're not like microdosing right now.
yeah, exactly. But like, I know people that do that stuff actually.
Dude, my friend did it recently, and he was like, dude, I microdosed, and on the 4th day, I was tripping for like the whole next week. Like, he literally like he went wrong like he was seeing stuff, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all.
I don't know, bro. I just want to live life with clarity, and
same.
I feel very fucking clear, and my head's always spinning. I'm always thinking of shit. I don't know.
Anyways,
I don't think it's the correct tool for our goals.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Guatemala, you came back from that and you were changed.
God, what a great use of your words in this conversation. It was just like the conclusion of the entire, like I'm picturing like an entire courtroom for 10 hours, and it's just like one 5-word sentence that concludes and explains everything we just discussed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, all right. Then that business went out of business. It was interesting. Our marketing, I didn't know anything about digital marketing. We didn't do any digital marketing. We recruited basically people, what I knew what to do, which was hire representatives on campus. That was like a student organization leader. And then they would recruit, like network marketing, basically. They would recruit. And then if they recruited a certain number, they would get their trip paid for free. And then anyone additionally after that, they would get paid. Right? So there was kind of an unlimited cap, but they also could pay for their trip.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't the I mean, we were profitable, but the business owners at the time were basically like, this isn't going to scale, and they just didn't want to do it anymore. So stopped that. And then I went to
How old are you now?
like 24.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
How old are you now, from my perspective?
36.
Okay, cool.
I love how by the inflection of your voice, we knew what you were talking about. How old are you now? How old are you now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 24.
Yeah. So then I went, like in college, I paid through college through restaurants. So then I, failed business person, went back to.
Oh, you ran your own restaurants?
No. I just worked in a restaurant.
Okay.
So I had that experience on my belt, and I needed to pay my bill. So I went to Portland, Oregon. This is where my sister lives. And, she had just had babies, and so I had nieces, and so I went there. And managed a restaurant for a while, and got into writing, and published a novel, and worked for a newspaper, and was like more content writing, journalism, that sort of thing. And so I really liked that. I was doing like,
What kind of book did you write?
it was like literary fiction, kind of like a.
What was the subject? Like what was the?
It was like a kind of wannabe Kerouac novel, like a road trip, coming of age story.
That's fun.
Yeah, it got published, and I went on a little tour, around the West Coast to like bookstores and that sort of thing. But
Knowing this guy's like little tour, like 100 stops.
no,
100 million fans. In line.
No,
He's like, just a little roundabout tour.
No, it really was like a financial like failure compared to the goals, So
yeah.
the Pareto principle is so strong in literary fiction. There's like, I think 10, maybe 15 authors in the entire world that make more than $1 million a year, like literally 10.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it's
More than $1 million a year?
yeah, I think so.
No way.
Yeah. Literary fiction.
Not literary fiction.
Yeah, not
authors.
not like all authors.
I
Yeah,
was like,
no.
there's got to be something wrong.
For sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
in the literary fiction category.
in the literary fiction like subgenre.
Yeah. It's like going to play for a professional sport like cricket. Or not cricket, like badminton. Yeah, and there's like probably 1 millionaire.
There's just not as many people interested in
I mean,
it.
there are books that win the Pulitzer Prize that will sell like 4,000 copies.
Yeah.
In like literary fiction, because they're just no one reads it, and
Same.
it's it's just totally they made $10,000 and won the Pulitzer Prize, like that kind of shit.
That's
So,
wild.
Yeah, it's totally insane.
Also an advantage. #1 published author in an entire category.
Yeah, but at the same time, the winners, are Steinbeck or Hemingway, and then your family is, crushing it for 200 years. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once a generation or once every decade, there's an author that will sell for the next 200 years, and that's that's the winner, and that's who we know. But it's once every 10 years. Anyways, so did that for a while, and then moved into copywriting, and did that for a while, freelance.
So what
I
are you at
did,
this point, like 30?
Yeah, and then did like I read The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, and was like, I'm doing that. I'm gonna work for my laptop and an arbitrage currency, basically, which to an extent I'm kind of still doing, but more at scale.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to live in a country or a town or an area where, $50 an hour like makes me, just super wealthy, And so I started just on like Upwork and that sort of stuff, just doing copywriting. So I would do like emails, and I did some ghostwriting of books, and like business owners that wanted to, have their life story and that sort of thing. And then
what would they do? Just kind of like narrate it to you and you'd write it?
I would do like interviews, and deconstruct it. And okay, these are the chapters, and so what you're going to do.
Do you think that's kind of like a weird roundabout way of doing it, or is that like a normal way of doing it?
It depends if you're a good writer.
Yeah.
It's like
I feel like that's how I'd want to do it.
Yeah.
It's just do interviews with someone and they like write the book.
I mean, it's a skill.
If you're gonna have that,
you could have an amazing story, and if you're a bad writer, like it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
So you might as well hire a pro.
Yeah. I'm not a bad writer. I just don't know if I'd want to take the time to sit and do it.
That's what it comes down to.
That's
right?
what it comes
It's
down
like,
to for me.
It's like rock me for 2 days. Ask me everything.
Like,
I'll do whatever you need.
I also have recorded so many podcasts. It's like, honestly, if someone just went and listened to all of them, like they could write a book about me. You know.
Sure.
Weird flex, but like
no, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying like
5-page book.
A 5-page book.
This is Andrew Deitch. 5 pages. That's all you need, bro. You're good to go.
You got the cliff notes.
So,
so fast forward to the good stuff.
It's all good stuff. Bro.
Well, I had a book that I finished, and it was like a long assignment. And I was in Mexico, and again, me and my wife would.
Wait. So like, where the fuck are you living? I guess this is where. So Guatemala.
In Mexico.
Guatemala. You were living in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were doing that like from Michigan still.
No, I was living in Antigua, Guatemala.
Okay, and you still live in Antigua in this story.
No, then I went to Portland, and then I went to Mexico.
Did I miss that?
You missed the Portland part.
Yeah.
But he said he stopped working in the thing in Guatemala, like the business shut down.
No, I remember that.
But
yeah.
so now you're in Mexico because you read 4-hour work week and you're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you went back to Mexico.
So I'll get paid in dollars,
and you're freelance
live in
copywriting.
pesos. Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite copywriting book if someone was to like read to learn copywriting?
Sean Vossler's.
The Sean Vossler's?
Yeah, Sean Vossler.
What's it called?
What is it called? Sean's gonna be so pissed at me. I'm gonna like text him right now.
So we search it. Sean Vossler.
What does he call it? He's always updating it.
Put Sean Vossler book.
7-figure marketing copy.
Mm.
Tried, tested, and proven.
I think it's got a new name.
But he's a good resource. in general.
7-figure marketing copy.
Yeah, buy Sean Vossler's book. It's
Cool,
It's
we'll
it's an expensive book.
Sean, you're amazing.
I think it's like $50 or $100, but it's like totally worth it. It's a good
Yeah.
book. Yeah, it's a good starter.
Cool. So you did that?
Yeah, and then I was obsessed with books,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this kind of crazy routine. I would wake up and just read a book and write and practice, and then I was just really strict about my schedule and always reading and all that kind of shit. And so then I just finished this assignment, and then I was looking for another assignment, and I saw a job posting for what is now MentorBox. But this was when it didn't even really exist. They just had like a quick landing page, and they sold the idea of it in the beginning, like just to see if they had product market fit. They did a VSL, a quick ad, sold a ton of it.
Who is on the VSL?
It was Alex Mayer and Ty Lopez. And so this was.
I feel like I remember those.
Yeah, they were just like this first, quick VSL, and they're like, "Hey, it's gonna be this box." This is before it was an app. It was like the actual box of books, and it's like, we're gonna ship you 2 books. And
Were you familiar with Ty at the time or not really?
a little bit,
Yeah.
but not.
You knew the Here in My Garage.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was about
exactly,
it.
yeah,
Gotcha,
exactly.
gotcha.
You knew what? What'd you say?
The Here in My Garage.
Oh.
The Ty Lopez commercial.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had seen that, so I knew
Everyone
of him, but
had seen that, I feel like.
yeah,
It's
but
nuts.
but Alex Mayer was my contact throughout the
Yeah.
process, and so
Yeah.
I saw that, and the first 2 books were How to Win Friends and Influence People and Think and Grow Rich. And I was like, I looking back at my notebooks, I'm like, I got summaries of these like in my own notebooks already.
Yeah.
Just for my own
you're
notes.
like, this is basic shit.
Yeah,
This is like the
and
first thing I read.
They're like, we need a summary and, you know, what they call the cheat sheet, and then a workbook, and, you know, just basically like the content of the actual. And so
What was the content? Just
the content was basically a workbook where it kind of guides you through the big ideas of the book, and then gives you homework assignments, like, you know, like Think and Grow Rich, like, you know, I believe, blah, blah, this year, that kind of stuff, right? And so I did it right away. This is actually a funny story. Alex, it was the co-founder and CEO for a while of Zoosk, which is the #1 online dating app in the world for like 3 years in a row, and ended up selling for $200 million. So he's like proper Silicon Valley, you know, high level. Raised $80 million for the company, like super high level guy.
Yeah.
And so he had a shit ton of money, more money than I knew that existed back then. And I was like, I didn't know anyone that was that wealthy. I find out later that they hired 20 people to do the job because Alex didn't want to go through resumes or like look at people's, you know, what they said they could do.
So he just hired 20 and
he actually hired someone to hire 20 because they got like, you know, 100 or 200 applications or something. And so then they said, just hire the top 20 people and just pay all of them and they'll all do it.
Yeah.
And give them a, you know, 3-day deadline or whatever. And then just whatever one is the best, that's one will be the product. Like, that was how they hired.
Genius.
Yeah, it was genius. So it was like a really fast internship. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't care, you know, what you say that you think you can do. Like, just do it, you know? And it was funny. And so I won. And he's
long
like,
story short.
So then I get on the phone with Alex right away, and he's like, all right, that was great. You know, this is next month, like right away. Like, these are the next 2 books. I think it was like Salt, Sugar, Fat, and Disrupt Me, and Managing Oneself. They had like 3 books that
Wait, so you'd already had notes on the first book. Is that why you think you won? Because you basically already like done the work and you just like perfected it even more?
Let me translate.
But honestly, that's just you like doing the work beforehand. Like,
yeah, but
that's smart.
What it really is it gave him more time to execute the strategy of what he's delivering, not the content of what's inside of it.
He didn't have to read the book.
I didn't have to read the book, speed read the books for 2 days. And it's like, I'd already read them. I already had notes.
He just had to think of how to do it the best way possible.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So, but I learned to this day now, I still use that kind of strategy in certain, you know, I'm just like, hey, everyone gets paid. You know, I'll find out how good you are, you know, after. It's a good filter. But then I very quickly was like, well, you know, your website is bad in this way, and, you know, your back-end email sequence doesn't exist, and, you know, your ads need new copy. And so I just started writing a bunch of stuff for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you okay with me just billing you, you know, hourly for whatever I'm doing? And he's like, yeah, we need emails. We need to just do anything. You know?
Yeah.
And so I started doing everything that I thought they needed for their business, basically, like all of the copy that they could need. And it was like a week later. He's like, okay, so that was all really good. I need you in San Francisco. So I was like,
and you're in Mexico at the time.
I live in Mexico. And it was so
with
fun.
The wife?
Oh, we weren't married yet, but my wife, yeah.
When did that happen?
We got married 3 years ago.
Oh, okay, nice.
Congrats.
So at the time, wife? Or at the time?
No, at the time, not even engaged.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just,
nice.
you know, my girl in Mexico.
Yeah, me and my chica.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, but I think the lesson there also is that, you know, whenever you have an opportunity with someone that you think could be, you know, a mentor or, you know, someone that you could, you know, really learn from, I wasn't really asking for permission to solve problems. You know, I just was like, hey, you know, I had already written a lot of emails, and I was like, I should have said that in that way. I said, I wrote a bunch of emails because I noticed you didn't have like a back end like follow-up sequence that was effective. So, you know, do you want these? And he's like, yeah, okay, like bill me for it. That's fine, right? And then because I did that, he said, now you have open reign to just bill me for anything.
Yeah.
You know, like just do anything that you think that we need.
Yeah.
And so then that gave me the free reign to solve all sorts of problems. and which ended up saying, it was just him basically doing everything by himself. And
Okay,
so
that makes more sense.
and so he said, okay, come to San Francisco, you and me, us against the world, let's build this thing out. And
Had you guys met in person yet?
No, we did a FaceTime. It was like really interesting. And he also was, it was a completely mindfuck to me, because he's like at a penthouse, overlooking the water in San Francisco. Like, just the whole vibe of it was like, what the fuck this, I wasn't in that space, and total mind blowing. And so I talked to my, non-wife, and I remember being like, he wants us to move to San Francisco. Like, and she's like, oh my God, what is that? And I remember it was so funny. What
was your like salary at this time?
I was making like $50 an hour. I was charging $50 an hour. So I would push it.
That's a pretty good amount.
I would push it and pull it back depending on whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I understand.
Yeah. So the whole
I'm just getting an idea
freedom.
of like the San Francisco move, because that's a financial decision to make.
Oh, yeah. And I won't get into the details of it, but basically my wife was like, my now wife was like, well, yeah, we can do it, but we need to have the same lifestyle. Like, I don't want to like lower our lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I started doing the translation. I'm like, $50 an hour in Mexico.
Ooh.
In San Francisco. Like, what is that translation?
It's like the opposite sides of the world.
The opposite,
it's like the high of the big pool and the low of the small pool.
Yeah.
It's like,
yup.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. That's what she wants. So I just throw it out there. I'm like, he's going to say no, whatever. We have a good life. We're fine. He says no. It was an interesting contract. Maybe he needs some more writing in the beginning. It is what it is. But like, I also was firm. I want this same lifestyle. I want the same freedom of like not looking at the price of things at a restaurant or, just not even thinking about it. Just total freedom.
So what was that in San Francisco dollars realistically?
A lot. So I think it's a lot, but it at the time was really a lot. I thought it was a stupid.
You don't have to say the number, but
it's okay. Curious. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a salary.
Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I thought it was a stupid number.
Yeah.
That he was for sure going to say no to.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure going to say no.
There's no way.
I'm just going to prove that.
Yeah.
This is my way of staying in Mexico.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, okay, cool. So... Like,
so
and I was like, it was not enough. Like, and I like didn't understand what like executive at San Francisco meant at the time. Like even the research that I did, it just wasn't like, it's a different level. Like it's just the money in San Francisco is just so stupid. So he said yes. And we were like, all right, let's fucking go. So we went and,
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. I hope like anyone listening to this.
That's a huge quantum leap.
Takes that and understands what you can do just with like, a good decision and a good, I don't know.
It was like he also was like, you have to be here. Like it was like the couple days before Christmas when he said that. And also I should have understood like more about his level of ambition and energy when he was like, oh yeah, can you come now? And I'm like, well, it's like 3 days before Christmas. Like we're going to go to New Hampshire for, like, you mean now? Like, and he's like, well, yeah, I guess it's Christmas.
It didn't compute that Christmas was like
Christmas was an important thing.
Yeah.
Then he's like, well, can you be here like, January 1st, And so I was like, all right. So we like sold everything, gave everything away, just like really fast and just, packed up and went to San Francisco. And, then that was stereotypical, startup Silicon Valley, tech company.
What was like day to day like for you?
Wake up, run usually in the morning to, kind of get myself prepared, and then, go into the office and grind until like 10 p.m. basically. And every weekend, like Sundays were just me and Alex for the same level, but we would do it like at his penthouse.
Okay.
So it would just be me and him, and it was more like strategy and like whiteboarding and like what are the priorities for, the next week. But Monday through Saturday was like, looking at the computer, like just, shooting or grinding. It was super intense. And it scaled up.
How many years were you at that like intensity for?
Probably 3.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot, bro.
Yeah.
For people that don't know MentorBox, can you just give like a summary?
Oh, give them the summary. They've definitely seen the ads at some point in their life.
Yeah, they've seen the ads for sure. Yeah. We spent like $30 million in advertising. Like,
what the fuck, guys?
Yeah.
Like, what?
And a lot of, I'd say
Nuts.
2/3 of it had my face on it. So a lot of
Yeah.
people will recognize my face from the ads. It
That's
started out as a physical box, and we got a lot of really high level people on it in the beginning because we would buy like 5,000 copies of the book. So the publishers, even Penguin Random House and HarperCollins, were like, yeah.
Those are the publication companies.
Yeah, the publication companies.
Those are like 2 of the biggest ones.
Yeah. They're the
I
2
think
biggest
Penguin's
ones.
the biggest one,
Yeah. Penguin Random House is the biggest publisher in the world. And they were like, yeah, who do you want? Like for 5,000, I mean, it's a $50,000 order, like minimum. Right?
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, no one's paying, $50,000 other than, Barnes and Nobles or, whatever. It's like a really big order. 10,000 copies, to give you an example, puts you on the New York Times bestselling list.
Wow.
So we would be like half of what you would need to be on the New York Times list. Right?
Wait, that's what it takes to be on the New York Times?
Yeah,
best?
1 per week. Yeah. But if you time it right, that order counts, right? So if they can get, let's say the first couple of weeks that a book would come out, if they could get 5,000 from us and then 5,000 from other sources, they just got half of their problem solved by just having, the author on MentorBox. So we built a relationship with them right away. And our whole plan was, or the whole
Wait,
pitch,
so would you guys time it right so that you could get the Wall
for
Street?
sure. For sure. Yeah.
Or the New York Times, not Wall
Yeah,
Street.
we would
New York Times
make it so
bestseller.
that we would buy it at the right time so that it wasn't like so we had more leverage. It was just a negotiation. They're like, hey, we'll give you someone like Jocko Willink or Ryan Holiday or like Charles Duhigg, who won the Pulitzer Prize, or these not
So
just
how did that work? You have to like have the rights to their
So we had contract. We invented this thing called like the video book. So when a book is auctioned off, basically the rights for the book, they have like American rights and foreign rights and movie rights and audiobook rights and ebook rights and so they're oftentimes one of the publishing houses will try to buy as much as they can, but they're allowed to partition it off. But they didn't have this thing called like a video book. It didn't exist. So our whole idea was it's like an audiobook, but it's a video of the author. The author is actually teaching it. So it's not me explaining it.
I was a subscriber of MentorBox early on.
Yeah. So we had a contract to have the rights to our video book, basically. And I mean, that's, I think, a lot of the value of the companies that like that, the moat of the, that intellectual property. But yeah, I mean, this was just, cutting my teeth at like such high stakes, like with, one of the top and Alex rang the bell in the New York Stock Exchange.
The IPO, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's 150 people every year in the world that do that. You know what I mean? It's like it's a super, super high level, entrepreneur that I was just, sitting next to for 80 hours a week. And
80 hours.
Next time.
Fuck.
oh yeah, at least for sure.
Damn.
And I
so
mean,
you
I
were
went
just
to
grinding.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
like
I ended
3
up like
years.
having like going to therapy because of like panic attacks and like I know I wasn't like it's not healthy. Don't do that forever. You know what I mean? But I was at a moment. I had the energy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like
I had the
4 a.m.
opportunity,
Like I
right.
had the opportunity.
Everyone who does something really great has a period like
Yeah,
that. I
for
feel
sure.
Like. You have a period where you're just head down and you're not sleeping. It's unhealthy, but
Yeah.
you're just like you got to put in that extra because where else is it going to come from?
Yeah,
And this is something I respect about Andrew a lot. I always tell him. He's like super consistent.
yeah,
In the creative space especially, you don't find consistent people who like show up even when it's like really uncomfortable.
yeah.
I mean, even this podcast, right? Like we're all fucking tired.
yeah,
Like, we're all, so I walked up to him. I was like, listen, I know you're very exhausted, but so am I. And I'm very tired. And he was like, oh, God, Eddie's about to leave. I'm like, I'm going to have to run the office. And I was like, but would you like to podcast with Jonathan? He's like, I like how you preface that. Let's do this. This is going to be fun, you know? So, but even then, like, you know, very rarely people would rather be like, fuck it, let's go. So
You're like, dude, no, not tonight. Like, you know, it would be sick, but like, dude, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I love this shit.
So how was the experience outside of the stress and the work hours and stuff? Like, what did you learn?
I think
what did you take away? I'm sure you took away a lot of shit. Like,
I mean, I just learned everything about everything. Like
Mhm.
we had to, you know, we built out a massive customer support team. You know, we didn't ever hire an agency, so we did our own, you know, Google, we did our own Facebook, we did our own Instagram, we built all of our own funnels.
I'm sure there's outside of ad spend, there probably wasn't too many expenses, right?
It would vary. We would expand and contract relative to certain needs because when we switched, I'll give you an example. When we switched to app, where it was basically we needed a critical mass of videos, whereby if you bought, you wouldn't cancel because you needed to have, like, if you searched for a book, it kind of had to come up. At least some of the major books had to come up. Right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like if you
I get it.
if like when Uber is expanding,
you have to have something
another,
to consume.
yeah. And so we felt like we needed to reach this critical mass, and we were only doing 2 books a month for the physical box where we would ship the actual book, right? So we only had the first year like 24 videos of authors, but 24 is not enough for an app.
Yeah.
So when we switched to the digital version, we had to go real hard. And so that was
How many books were you releasing like a week?
5.
5 a week.
Yeah.
So holy shit. So 20 a month.
I mean, 5 a week makes sense. Even
Yeah.
10 a week makes sense. Like,
No, but still.
that's pretty scalable.
well, the filming of it is not. Think about, because these are
I get what
full-
you're saying. I get what you're saying. In my head, I'm thinking like Spark Notes and then worksheets, and I
No.
forget about the video part.
no, that's the game.
Yeah. 5
That's
a week is
the
good.
mode.
Yeah.
The mode is like we're in Austin with Ryan Holiday, and then we're in San Diego with Jocko Willink, and then we're in New York with, you know, author, and then we're in Nashville with
You
Donald
setting up,
Miller.
like, the same backgrounds and everything, or no?
No, but I mean, but then sometimes if they were okay, that we would, you know, have them come to San Francisco. We had a studio in San Francisco, but it was a logistical, like we had a traveling team and a San Francisco team, and then, you know, a massive video editing team and a graphic design team and a copywriting team and an ad buying team. You know,
Okay.
yeah. So it
So
was,
advice question.
yeah.
Someone, not someone. I mean, we always talk about this, but like, you know, so basically, like our podcast, it's in person only. We refuse to do Zoom. I have the opportunity to get on a Zoom call with all like the top guys, right?
Sure.
But like, it just isn't the full experience from a content perspective and from an actual podcast perspective. This is
Imagine if we were sitting here and there was like a computer right there.
Yeah, you know what I
That'd
mean?
be so
And
funny.
like, or you had a computer
Yeah.
and you were in your own environment and other things might be happening here. We
Yeah,
have our
yeah.
headphones on, our phones are away. It's just more intimate experience.
Way better.
That being said, it limits who we can have on the podcast. And in order to increase frequency, we would have to like fly these people, and just out of respect for them, like I'm not going to ask them to fly for a day for a podcast and not pay for their flight, hotel, food, whatever, everything that, you know, just at least cover the cost. Logistically, because it sounds like you had to deal with a similar situation logistically, like what pieces need to be in place to like execute that at a mass scale? Like what if I wanted to fly in 3 authors every week and knock out a podcast? Like what pieces need to be in place? Like you're saying, we had a travel team, we had this.
So we had someone that's all they did was like author relations and logistics, and that person had an assistant. So, you know, the short answer is you have someone that's all they do.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And for the authors, what did you do for them? You bought after buying, because eventually you didn't buy the books, right?
Yeah, but we had such reach, and it ended up being like a club where it was like, yeah, you do MentorBox, you know, like, you know, everyone's on MentorBox. It's kind of like,
So you all free.
eventually
It
yeah.
became, the exposure overvalued it essentially.
Yeah, and we would also give them like an asset, like an asset bucket, you know. So we would give them, like, we always would have a super high end photographer that would give them headshots, you know, and we would, you know, just the whole experience and
That
lots of
helps a lot.
video and
That
stuff.
helps a
And so they're like, oh shit, I would have paid, you know, $5 or $10 grand for like this,
all these
group of
creative assets and
and
stuff.
this group,
Yeah.
so we always tried to make it
Mhm.
super worth their time. But eventually it's kind of like,
That's an important note.
it's kind of like if I want to have, if I'm bringing on a new client, it's a lot easier to close the client if I say, yeah, we've done work for like Ed Milet, and we've done work for Ty Lopez, and we've done work for Dan Fleischman, and we've done work for, like just me just saying that three, now you don't really have to really dig that much more.
Yeah.
They've kind of done the due diligence for it's the same in San Francisco,
Yeah.
like Silicon Valley, right? If like Andreessen Horowitz invests in something, every other VC is going to be knocking on the door and be like, do you need another $1 million? I'm going in too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
If Peter Thiel goes into something, like I want to be in it too. Right. It kind of like it already validates it. And so,
Because you're like,
Someone's
if
already
he's,
done due
he's
diligence.
already done his due diligence, and I
Yeah.
respect everything that he invests in. Yeah.
yeah. So when we reach out and we say, oh yeah, we just had Amy Cuddy, and we just had Donald Miller, and we just had Mark Manson, and these are like #1 New York Times bestselling authors.
Yeah.
Not just New York Times bestselling, but like the #1 book in the entire world, like that level.
Yeah.
They know each other, right? So they say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I
how was
get it.
your experience with them?" It's like, "Oh yeah, it was good. Like they flew me out first class, and it was a nice hotel, and blah blah. And they gave me this, and blah,
They don't get royalties.
no." Masterclass does that, but I think Masterclass is going to go out of business.
Masterclass is a little different too. You
You think
buy
they're going to go out of
tokens.
business?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Why is that?
Who do you know
It's
that's
buying
like
it.
big into Masterclass?
Nobody.
It's the same.
It's just too wide.
It's an agency. It's like an agency that has like hella churn,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
too much.
Because I
overhead.
would only do it for the one class that I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm cool. I got the Dead Mouse class, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to get the fucking
Exactly.
Usain-
like, why the fuck
Usain
am I
Bolt
going to
class or
subscribe?
Gordon Ramsay class.
I want to learn cooking tomorrow. I just came here to learn how to dribble a fucking
Actually,
basketball.
let me take this back. I think that they have an out, and I think it's whenever the streaming wars adds education and just destroys the entire course model for most marketers, unless it's like really tactical stuff that's on the cutting edge. But general marketing and business school, and I would say like everything that you learn in college, almost, in my opinion, Amazon Prime is going to add one extra category, like drama, comedy, documentary, and they're going to add
Educational.
education. And as soon as they do that, so is Netflix, and so is Apple TV, and so is all of them. They're just going to add education, and then one of them is going to ask themselves, what is it going to take for me to scale educational content to be able to compete? Or could I just buy Masterclass and, Apple TV, like now has Masterclass built into it.
Wow.
Right? I think that that's an option that they could exit that way because they have such high level people and it's produced at such a like
High
Hollywood
level.
level.
You could watch
think-
that on Netflix.
I
And
think
you'd
that's
believe it.
Yeah, I think that's their chance. I think that they could.
That's a sexy ass power move.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's a really good
You should shoot
breakdown.
an email and maybe take a couple points off the top.
I'm sure they. Yeah, I.
But that's a good prediction because I totally see it now that you've explained it. It makes
Oh yeah.
you're right.
I mean, it for sure it'll happen. It's information and knowledge is like going to zero. Like the cost of information and education is like slowly like getting like digitized. In a way.
Access is getting easier.
Yeah, it's getting
Before
access
you'd
to-
pay for Microsoft Word, now you're just getting Google Docs for free.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Even software is just everything's rounding to zero, it's slowly but surely. And so, I mean, this is also why you need to have a skill that's can't be taken over by a robot, which is often like leadership and project management and creativity and strategy and something that's super hyper creative, like really like advanced video editing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, like for sure the university should be shaking in their boots because Apple might be already, you don't know, hiring in whatever professor is making 150 grand. That's the top biology professor in the world that, they happen to be at University of Miami, and then they're the top philosophy professors at Harvard and whatever, different fields. Like they could be aggregating them already and creating a the
course.
top. These are the 50 courses in a row that you need to take to have a biology degree or a philosophy degree or a history degree or whatever it may be. And now it's not just cheaper because you can do it online. It's actually free. It's included in your Apple TV membership. Like that's
for
gonna
$10 a
for
month.
sure. It's gonna happen
Yeah.
for sure. So I think that
I
they
see
could
it.
they could have an exit that way. I think MentorBox could have an exit that way, but
So MentorBox, how'd you become CEO? Like,
It
were
was
you
just
CEO
natural.
in this story
yeah.
so far, or not yet?
Yeah, I was like first employee, right?
Yeah.
And Alex was CEO, and then
I guess I'm more asking. Let me ask it differently. What did being CEO look like for MentorBox?
everything.
What, was that the run and all that other shit? Like, what happened in between?
Well, I was,
How many employees?
I think at the highest we had like 39, something like that.
Okay. Nothing like super fucking insane.
No.
Okay. So no HR nightmares for the most part.
No. And then, but here's what happened is once we reached a certain level of content, we didn't have to. Once you logged in, and then the amount of content that was in the app was overwhelming. Then we didn't have to continue at the pace of 5 books.
Yeah.
Right. So there was no need. Like we just were trying to solve that one problem. Like if someone buys it for $7, do they feel like they got enough value, and do they feel like they're going to be busy for 2 years? Like even if they do a book of a week, they have 4 years of 5 years of 6 years of content. Right?
Yeah.
And once we reached that critical mass, we strategically were like, okay, we should probably just try to do higher end, like just only really high quality. And, but at the same time, Alex, the co-founder, wanted to kind of move on to some other things. And so that I took over as CEO, and we raised a little bit of money to like scale up marketing. And, but then what ended up happening was Alex and Ty wanted to acquire some of these bigger brands I think a lot of people have heard of. It kind of made pretty big news. It was like in the Wall Street Journal and all that kind of stuff. And I had raised some money for MentorBox, so I had that skill. So I helped them raise money for those acquisitions, which was a big number. And then,
can I say the number? I mean, it's public info.
Yeah, it was like over $100 million.
Yeah,
and so that was a crazy year, right? But obviously, doing that, we had our COO at the time. Just kind of was like I was like the CEO, but I was kind of wearing a couple different hats, right? And raising all that money was taking up a lot of my time. And so a lot of our energy, I mean, this happens in business, you know what I mean? You're just like, you might have one product and then you move on to another product, or you move on to, different. So I think the energy was just spread out a little bit over this big opportunity that we had, basically. It was like, oh my God, we can buy, Pier 1 for, like just a stupid, number. It was like $30 million something. It's like, this is a 100-year-old brand that everyone knows of. You know what I mean?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, wow, this is a crazy.
And Radio Shack too.
Yeah,
like
Radio
such a
Shack.
well-known name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in e-commerce, a lot of the problem is trust, right? So it's like, who the hell is, Jonathan?
Majority of the
JonathanT-shirt.com is like, I don't care about that. You know what I mean? But, Dress Barn, it's like, I know that company. So if I see an ad from a company that I know, it's like way more likely that I'm going to buy it. So,
or at least join the email list.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's a genius move. And then, but at the same time, I had, because we had hired so much abroad, I had taken equity in, a couple other companies, just as like consulting and kind of helping them along the way. And one of them was what Virtual Worker now is.
Which is what you do now.
Which is what I do now, yeah.
Quick question. Let me just take it back. On the MentorBox side of things, how big did you guys get again?
I ended up having like 200,000 subscribers.
Okay. And so what did you do to keep people on the platform? Because like you said, there's kind of like an overload of information. Like, how important was like structuring categories and sending people new releases and like recommendations? Like, did you get that far or no?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I'll say two things that I think we did wrong. How about that?
Yeah.
Like we did all the traditional things that you would
Cool.
do. Like you had a Facebook group and we send a daily email and
Yeah.
you know, we send out content of like, hey, here's like coming up this Friday.
Yeah.
All that kind of normal stuff that you would
Moving
do.
shit to the top banner on the app.
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. You know, organizing it exactly like Netflix, like searchability is super important by
Nice.
category, like
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff, right? Like the user experience. But I would say the two things that I would have done is we built a podcast and then we pivoted away from it just because of time constraints. And it was a really good driver of community, but it hadn't reached critical mass for like new acquisitions, like new customers.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like a burning fire, like, or it wasn't like we could put more gas on it and it would immediately, you know, increase the number of customers that we would get that day. And so we made a strategic decision, which I regret. I think if, you know, I was still CEO, you know, 3 years later and we had just grinded the podcast, you know, for 3 years, I think that we would have to do almost no paid ads, or at least it would have been supplemented so much that we would have had this massive, you know, organic. So I think that we didn't do enough organic. We didn't just like, you know, Gary Vee like eat shit for long enough.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, without getting
Yeah,
the
you're
immediate
like,
gratification of it.
Yeah. How many listeners were you guys getting where you were just kind of like, eh?
Yeah, it just wasn't anything that was, you know, exciting. But I think that
Based on your subscriber base,
Yeah.
like you're like, we have 200,000 subscribers, but only like 10,000 monthly
Yeah.
listeners. So who cares?
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I think we only did it for, you know, a year or something, right? And
Yeah.
it's like we could have just kept
You
on
only
going.
folded the paper one time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Look at you,
Yeah.
Andrew.
And I think we should have gone way harder in YouTube for like free. You know, everything was behind the paywall, and we should have just done a lot more free. I think is like the main thing. And
You know, I think that's the main thing the next 12 months in business too. I
Yeah.
think a lot of e-commerce companies at least spend too much effort trying to do the paid, which I don't disagree. We do paid. You need to like keep doing paid, but you can't depend on paid.
Yeah.
You know, and even like our e-commerce company that we own, we're moving it from Sacramento to Atlanta just so we can do more non-paid.
yeah,
Because there we're all dependent on paid to push out content and be more aggressive about it. Here we can control that X factor a lot more on these social platforms, especially.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think here's what we were building, right? I ended up leaving, but I had this skill of raising capital. And I also, the outsourcing company was scaling outside of that. And, you know, it just, you do this as an entrepreneur, even if you're at a CEO level, sometimes you're like, well, and even if you have a great bonus structure, so you have, you know, nearly infinite scalability of your income,
Yeah.
there's still, it's not infinite.
Yeah.
It's actually not. If you're really ambitious, if you want to be really comfortable and like not worry about money at all,
Yeah.
you for sure can be a CEO with a good bonus
But is it like
structure.
super about the money? Like, I guess let me give this example. If you saw like another 5 steps for MentorBox and you were CEO, I don't think you would have left. If you saw another 5 steps. Like,
Yeah, I was distracted by you know all of the capital raising. So if I was
point.
that's why. That's like I couldn't even be in it.
CEO. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like from afar making sure that everything was, you know, going okay,
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
was like this life-changing generational opportunity. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because of everything being on sale already and then COVID.
I understand.
You know,
It's audible. Like
Yeah.
you gotta make the move.
yeah,
But
so we
had
you're
you been
totally right.
CEO, I think, and you saw the next 5 years of vision, you probably wouldn't have left. Because like, how much
Yeah.
better is that gonna get? Even running your own company, like
Yeah.
if you have this behemoth that you already built,
Yeah.
like for example, you know, Andrew right now, it's way easier for him to leave than in 5 years when we're actually fucking. He has 200 people on his content team and they're pumping out the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
Even more, why the fuck would he want to go do his own thing if he's running that sick of a level of something? And he knows like in the next 2 years it's gonna look like this too, and we're gonna attain that. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And it's my job to set the vision for the entire company, right? But when the vision of the company is actually now the vision of the parent company, not the vision of the company.
Exactly. Now
right?
you become like the child that no one takes to sports games because they suck. You know what I mean? Like your brothers are traveling the world playing soccer, and you're just like, they think less of me, you know?
Yeah, I think the parent company ended up becoming, doing a shit ton of M&A, basically, like all at once, and then you're hiring tons of other executives and, massive team at scale.
Yeah, I understand it was a priority.
Yeah. So, but you're totally right. Yeah, I think that's right. But I think that also, my mom always says everything happens for a reason. I trust the universe. And I also have massive ambition in terms of scale. And there might be, we would have had to, I think, pivot to
That's what I'm saying. Even that, but like
other products.
You would have found a pivot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you would have been like, okay, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, you're right.
But so VA thing, I mean.
Yeah, so it just was all, I realized that I could also raise capital for other companies, one, and then also the VA company was scaling. And so, I just made the pivot. And they were established. I'd built SOPs and systems and, everything. And there was leadership in place. So, it was an amicable, separation. And, we still have a B2B relationship. And, it's, it just switched from employee to B2B, And since then, things have been scaling for my own companies. And, so now the VA company has 400 employees and, DealRaise, we're raising like, $20 to $40 million a year. So, things are going well. And they're all scaling. I feel like those are even just getting started.
Yeah.
Because I've only really started to like flex my muscles as like, owning my own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think raising money for someone to go roll up a bunch of agencies would be doable?
Absolutely.
Easily, right? Like if we actually had a game plan?
Easily.
Like someone would easily give like 10 mil cash to go acquire like
easily
40 cash flowing assets.
Easily.
Because like, this is a hot topic after our conference. And quite frankly, we already have a bunch that are on our mind. Obviously, we're not going to name anyone, but it would be way cooler it would be way easier and more attractive of an offer if we just paid out the cash up front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like no one that I know that's actually serious, is going to sell their company at 0 down, pay me over the course of the next 3 years. No, like super serious. But if you went up to them and said, hey bro, here's $500K up front, and then here's $20K a month for the next 2 years. Way different of an offer. You're like,
totally.
Damn, I could just like throw this in crypto. I could do this. People start thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to stake this, make $100K a year.
That's
passively.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a whole different ball game. And so like, if someone just came and said, here's, 10 mil cash, I'll take a slice off the top of this whole thing that's happening. Like that would help speed things up a lot. Because now the offer is way more attractive. And no one can compete with us unless they have funding, because no one's just going to drop 10 mil cash. Besides the operating costs of their company, they already have millions of dollars of payroll. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more factors to just pull out 10 mil in 1 year and drop it cash on acquiring someone.
For sure.
Just
Raising capital it's
a joke right now.
I mean,
I'm not calling it a joke, but like it's super easy.
There's so much money.
Open your hand and explain why, and you might get a donation.
Yeah, I think that for people, especially in the real estate space, let me actually push back on that a little bit. It's so easy because you are insanely fluent in digital marketing. So connecting the dots between like a lead and a product is literally what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we all do for a living. We're like, hey, we have this solution to a problem, and then there's this potential avatar customer. Let's connect the dots and let's pitch them a little bit and have them buy. Raising capital is exactly that, except the product that you're selling is a term sheet or offer, right? 18% debt or equity in this company, or whatever it may be. Whatever that's the pitch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then your avatar lead is an accredited investor that has some dry powder. Yeah. That's what you're doing. You're just connecting the dots, right? Just like when, how you get a lot of people to come to an event, like you need an agency owner that's at a certain level, that's able to, that has a certain level to be able to pay the ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's
exactly, yeah.
But you're able to find those people super fast and super efficiently because that's literally your specialization.
I hope I can.
Right? Right. Right. So when you're talking about a tech founder or someone with a patent or a real estate investor, right? Or a restaurateur, like, CPC, CPA, AOV, LTV. That was just Chinese. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like there's no, they don't even, what do you mean? What funnel? Like,
and I get what you're saying.
You're like, you mean a website? What is, like they wouldn't even say that. They just absolutely zero fluency in what we're talking about. Right. So when you say, oh, it's like super easy, what we do is we build that entire funnel for them. And do the ad buying and everything. All of the ads.
Oh, you actually raise money that way.
Yeah. We
I guess so.
We connect the dots between accredited investors and a deal.
Through funnels.
So
that's the big key here, though.
Yeah. So we do Reg D 506C rounds. Now, what that means is that you're allowed to publicly advertise using Google and Facebook.
Yeah. I saw your talk about this. One of my favorite talks I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So
At
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Shout out Powerhouse, Josh Snow, Los Silva.
Yeah.
My favorite e-commerce group in the world, hands down.
Yeah. For
the
sure.
goats.
Powerhouse. Yay. Anyways,
that's where I saw him too, because we were editing Powerhouse videos, and I was like, I saw you at the conference with your bubble gum pad, and I was like, I know who that guy is.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
he said the reason why he wears that hat is so people recognize him, and it worked.
Yeah. It's just like a symbol, and people are like, oh yeah, that. So.
But you're not wearing it now, which I find interesting. It's like a.
He
I didn't think I was
didn't
gonna be
need
on the
anyone
podcast.
to.
I know,
see
but
him,
it's a more stealth hat.
Yeah.
You're like under the radar, Jonathan. You're
He's
still
like-
wearing the hat,
I'll
but
just
you're
put a
like.
little Ironman symbol.
there's
Did
red
you do an
underneath.
Ironman?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. Way back when.
Way back when.
Yeah.
But like you still wear that shit
It's
on your head. I
It's
guess.
like a don't be a pansy, you can do it reminder.
Yeah,
Whenever it's like, you remember when you did that? Well, that's hard.
Mhm.
Like I remember watching the Ironman Hawaii when I was little, and I thought like, these guys are like superheroes. This is totally impossible what they're doing. And then in Guatemala, actually, my roommate was an Ironman, and he was like totally a normal human. And I was like, oh, this is like, they're not superheroes. They're just people, I mean,
They're
he
not
trained
even,
a
like,
lot.
super in shape either. Something.
No, sometimes no. He was. I mean, listen, he trained a lot, but he also was like partying and like we'd eat McDonald's, and you know what I mean. He wasn't this like super
what is the
athlete.
Ironman exactly like? Let's just read.
It's like a giant triathlon.
No, I know
right?
what it is, but like how much? It's like like 90 miles biking. Like what is it exactly?
2 point something swimming. Firstly, which is insane. That's like the hardest part.
Yeah,
and then 112 people that are like into Ironman are gonna be like, that's not true. It's like 112 or something like that miles biking.
Okay.
And then a marathon.
Why are they going to say it's not true? They think
because it might be. I think it might be 17, 112 or 117.
Okay.
I think, like something like that. It's around there.
it's 111.7 because
Yeah.
Bro, what the
traditionally,
fuck, man?
in the very first Ironman, they had it wrong because of the.
Yeah, and then it's a marathon at the end.
Like a
Jesus.
full marathon?
Full marathon. Yeah,
No.
So that's wait. So
fucking
that's
insane.
how many miles is a marathon again?
26.2.
Kill me.
Jesus.
I'm walking the whole
It took
thing.
16 hours. It was crazy.
16's not bad.
But 16
16
hours
is
of like grueling physical.
No. I get that. I'm
Endurance.
just saying like speed wise. Like
So you do the swimming, running, and biking last?
no first.
Swimming is first, so you don't die.
Yeah. Then
Because if you're
biking.
tired, everyone's gonna die.
It's
Then
over.
you do swim.
Can you imagine?
Wait, but you-
they
swimming is
started
at the
that way.
end.
They're like, let's put swimming at the end. Like everyone died. They're like,
I said swimming at the beginning, but is it swimming, biking, running?
Yeah.
Okay. So running's last.
But
I think
seriously,
also for the same reason though, because if it was biking at the end, you also
You could
still might die.
crash.
Like
No,
Yeah.
running is
this
you
is
just
so
stop
funny.
and you just walk.
I have a feeling their first one they fucked up and they didn't really think through the order that much, and they like put swimming.
They were
at
like,
the end.
we should go in the order.
They'll be
of fast
thirsty
to
and
slow.
sweaty. They'll want to swim and cool off, and then everyone just died, and they're like, "Fuck." Joe, congrats! You're the only survivor. I think we should put this one at the beginning. Moving forward.
He was the Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's insane. That's insane, though, bro. Like,
I was like totally heartbroken because my now wife, like we broke up and I was trying to get back with her forever and ever and ever. It was my own damn fault, but I was really aggressively trying to get back with her.
Did you guys break up because of work related stuff, or it was all personal? Because I was thinking because you were grinding so hard. Was it like,
no, this was like we dated in college, and then
Okay.
we broke up when I went to Guatemala, and then I immediately
Gotcha.
regretted it, and I was
Okay.
trying
So
to
that
get-
was way
I
later.
was trying to get her back for like 10
Yeah,
years.
remember we went back to
Gotcha.
Ironman. Ironman was like
Yeah.
I didn't know.
young
My
buck.
bad.
Yeah, young buck.
Young buck.
So
Yay.
yeah, it was one of those. I was like trying to distract myself, with something to be, it's like when you're when something goes wrong in your life, you can either like sulk in it. I'm not that type of person. I'll get like kind of watch me vibes, like I get that energy from it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't have any like business or anything to like put it into, so I like wrote a novel and trained for an Ironman. Like that was my, like I'm me against the world. That was like the manifestation of that at the time for me. But yeah, man, I remember finishing it and driving back to Portland and like being like one of the saddest moments of my life. And I had been training for it for years.
That's crazy.
And I just was driving back and I was like, oh yeah, I felt like super empty. And I was like, oh, this did not do the thing that I thought it was going to do. Yeah. So, I mean, that happens.
Why do you think that is? Or why do you think it was?
I think it's because I was, trying to avoid like checking off the box that I really wanted, which was like to get my wife back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was my girlfriend at the time, but
yeah.
Or like,
It was also probably subconsciously a way to show yourself that like you could break certain limits. Like
totally. Oh yeah, I knew that. I also
cool. I did that. Now what?
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't feel any different. I'm still just fucking Jonathon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like existential.
Damn.
But now I do have though, and this is why I wear the hat. It's a tool. It's a tool in my tool belt now. Like the Ironman, finishing the Ironman is a tool. It's a mental reminder that like, bro,
you did that shit.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're complaining about not being able to sleep. It's like you fucking swam and biked and did all that shit.
I didn't do an Ironman, but I'm not comparing this to an Ironman, but like
I did a 12K.
Hey, whatever the tool is,
in under 15 minutes.
I did a booster-thon fun run at my school.
Thanksgiving
once.
5K was wild. First place in the church.
My uncle sponsored me for $12.
Now I'm back to it, but like I've been fat my entire life, and for 1 year I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get shredded. By the way, for reference, I've been fat and played sports and also eaten well, but like no matter how well I ate and how many sports I did and shit, I never like had abs or was like, I was like great shape, looked great in clothes, everything, but like, like all my fucking other friends who are on the same team that I'm playing on, all are fucking shredded out of their mind and shit. I'm just like this fat fuck, you know what I mean? It was all life. But like that year that I lost the weight that I did, it was like way harder than anyone except my roommates think, because they saw it, because my body was the way that it was. And like, I was just not built to have like super low fat and shit. It's just like my entire family's like that. Like everyone, their families, fathers and the lifestyle we had and genetics, everything at that point. I was like getting up at 5 a.m., doing like 2 hours of Stairmaster on like, for, I don't know if you know Stairmaster, but like a level 12 for 2 fucking hours. I would literally, at the end of every session, the guy who worked at the gym would come and stack like 4 towels next to me. And then I would like pick up like puddles of sweat that leaked from the arm rails down to the platform where the stairs were.
No, I believe you because I've seen that much sweat on those machines before.
No,
it's like insane.
I'm telling you,
there was
2
this one lady
hours.
there. There was this one lady at Lifetime a couple of years ago. It was actually really sad because she definitely had a disorder, like an eating disorder or something, because she was so skinny. But it was the same way, bro. Puddles.
But it was like it was like this thick, and that's really thick, bro. It's like it didn't make sense.
Of sweat.
I'm telling you, 2 hours.
Nuts.
I would watch
The
full
stairs.
movies, and I'd be like, okay, I'm not getting off until this movie's done. And then
dude.
I wouldn't eat still. I would stay fasted, just like letting my body like burn and shred. And at 2:30 p.m., I'd eat my first meal.
Wow.
And then I have another workout at night, and I did that shit for 9 months fucking straight, on top of like literally missing a meal every 3 weeks, maybe. Like only with intention too. Like, I'm going to carb up today, and I'm going to eat some French fries because it's good for my diet right now.
Yeah.
Throw it off.
I'm listening to my body.
Yeah.
Cheat meal.
Yeah, cheat meal.
Just a
Exactly.
little
so.
cheat meal, you know. Good,
But
no little carbs, never hurt
honestly,
nobody.
Whenever I go through a lot of hard shit, it's weird. I think back to that.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like,
And you
dude,
got shredded as fuck, by the way.
as fuck. I was accused of steroids
He
left and
looked
right. It
like,
was like
fucking Superman.
Yeah.
He was shredded.
I was like, you would see it and be like, no way, this was fucking you. Like, I had an 8-pack.
He was
Wow.
It's
like
actually nuts.
absolutely. Like, I'm telling you, every gym I worked out at that wasn't my gym, people would be
Is
like,
it
hey,
on your
man,
Instagram
like,
still?
yeah.
If you scroll
Like,
back, we
yeah.
should
Do you
look
take
it up.
steroids? I'm like, no, I don't. I just work really fucking hard. Like, you got to take steroids. I'm like, you actually have no fucking clue how hard I work. Like, you have anything you're imagining in your head, it's way more than that. So
Damn.
let's not go down this rabbit hole. But all this to say, like, it's funny. I still pull. It's like in my tool belt. I've never been that shape ever again after that like 18-month period, and I never will get back to that shape, honestly, because I don't want to. I don't care to. I care to get in better shape than now, but not that shape.
Yeah.
And I, no matter, like, when really hard shit happens in my life, I'm like, bro. And I like literally picture myself on the Stairmaster just fucking like 2 hours in, dying, like forgotten that I'm even dying. You know what I mean? At that point, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, let's watch this movie.
You run into like acceptance.
Acceptance, exactly, right? And I'm just like, bro, you did that shit every day. Which photo are you
No.
showing him?
The side by
yeah, yeah.
side.
And
Side
by the way-
side.
by the way-
Eddie is shredded and huge.
By the way, on the left side, that photo, we should put this on the video for sure.
We should definitely put it on the video.
What
I'll
the
screenshot it.
The left side, the photo, bro, was when I was already shredded, by the way. In my head, the left side was the best shape of my life by far. I was pulling bitches left and right, and I was like, damn, I did it. This is me. I'm gutted. And that's what I thought was shredded. That's how fat I was. I was way bigger than that.
Bro, that's crazy.
Right? So that was like in like, that picture is like in an
Insane.
8th month period. But like, let me show you, like, this picture puts a perspective of like muscle size, right? So like, you look at me, you're like, probably maybe on steroids. I don't know.
No, you might think it.
You might think it for sure.
One would be accused.
But then I got leaner, so I got less big and then leaner, just to like experiment. So you can see like,
Shreddy,
Wow.
just like
veiny.
for a guy who's like always been fat, always like,
Literally wearing a Superman
So
outfit.
how do you feel about the preface to what you just said, which is no matter what in my family, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? And then, I mean, that's
yes, but how much did I have to do more than other
Right, okay,
people
that's
have
your
to
point.
do?
That's
That's
your
my
point.
point.
Okay,
I'm swimming
yeah.
against the river.
for sure. Okay.
That's all I'm
fair.
saying.
Yeah.
And like,
But it's not that it's like impossible. 'Cause
No,
obviously
no.
you crushed it.
not impossible, but not maintainable.
Yeah.
And-
while
you
focusing
don't
that
have the
hard on
desire.
something else.
Right.
Like no way.
Disproportionate effort relative to results.
It's
Yeah.
like, why
Yeah.
would I do that?
yeah,
That's it.
you're killing yourself to do what? Look great in the mirror.
If I could look like
Right.
that and work out once a day for an hour,
Hell
and,
yeah.
and eat well 80% of the time, I would do it, and I would stay shredded all year round. And I have friends who eat shit 80% of the time and work out twice a week, and they're fucking gutted and shredded and
Yeah.
every vein and muscle strand. So I'm like, this is not a game I'm trying to play.
Yeah.
This is not
You're
my-
already. It's like trying to be in the NBA when you're 5 feet tall.
Yeah,
it's just like not.
It's just not gonna. That's it.
How many years this is an interesting philosophical question. How many years would you need to add to your life, quality years, to eat like super healthy all the time for it to be worth it? So if someone said, hey, if you go,
Nothing. There's no amount.
no.
Wait, say it again.
Let-
So
let me ask a specific.
I don't know.
I think you get it, but let me ask you, like, let's say if you continue eating the way you eat right now, which is whatever it is.
I eat pretty healthy.
Okay,
But-
pretty healthy. But let's say,
Definitely, Andrew is very healthy. He like cooks his own chicken daily and shit in front of us.
okay,
I have an air fryer at the office and I cook my chicken here. I eat pretty healthy, but either way.
It's a joke
Yeah,
around
okay, but
the
let's
office.
say
But I-
something
but I-
like you're not allowed to eat.
but I don't know
pizza,
how many-
you're not-
but
He's
yeah.
saying he's.
But
saying
I don't
like
know how
super.
many. But I also don't know how many years that's going to add for me.
I know.
It could be
I-
0. It could be. It could
Okay,
be a bunch.
okay, keep
yeah.
going, keep going.
But the thought experiment is,
Yeah.
if you had to be uber restrictive, where there was some like
You could never
molecular
cheat, really.
thing where if you
Yeah.
had pizza one time, you're fucked, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you had to be really strict
Ever.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would add 5 years to your life. Like to me, it's like easy. Like no, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have my like rice and beans.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's like my heart. You know, like
Yeah.
that kind of like you have your soul
think
food with your family,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're Mexican.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So you know, I want my bacon fried beans. Like you know what I mean? Like I want that shit. 5 years, would you never have it?
I wonder if it's like Jesus though, where like
10
if you never
years.
sinned, you don't know what it's like.
What's your number, Andrew?
Does that like 15 years, 20
think-
years,
I
30
think-
years, 50 years,
Here's
100 years?
50's a lot, bro. You gonna take?
Like you won't have no pizza,
Damn.
no
I
mayonnaise
wonder-
or whatever whatever your thing is. You know,
I wonder if it's. Would I have had to do it all the way up until now?
Like right
or
now.
like if I just started now?
right now.
Okay. Like if it was like 50 years, fuck. I guess it's kind of like, to me, it's like, don't do meth. You're going to die. You know, it's like, okay, I just
it's
won't
way
do meth.
more intense than that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't
Because
know.
meth will destroy your life. Eating pizza is not going to destroy your life.
You're right.
You're just going to live to be 90 instead of 160.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
I think it'd
Like
have to be like 50 years.
50 years.
What about you?
But would my 50 years be enjoyable? I guess I'd eat pretty. Yeah.
But it's not your 50 that aren't enjoyable. It's the next 100.
I feel like once you got, I feel like once you get
just
through,
the 50 that you're getting.
once you get through like 5 of it though, I feel like it would just be the same.
That's
It's not
also.
even
But then
about
what
that.
if-
it's
but-
it's like defining what is pleasure. Honestly, that's the way
I
think
feel
about
like
it.
maybe
It's
I would
like-
do, could I do it? Like, I mean, you could hypothetically, I mean, this is a thought experiment, but like if I did it for a month or if I did it for a year or something, I could then decide like, is this sustainable for the next, however long, or should I just eat the pizza and I'll just die at my regular amount?
Yeah, but that's a bite of pizza, man. Think about it, because you're like
That is the most significant
That's
bite
like
of
the
pizza
bite of
you'd
the
ever eat.
apple.
you're like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have, like I am this over
I'm choosing to be a
you know,
fat ass.
extra no
an extra 50 years.
yeah, an extra
just
50
kidding.
years. or
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah.
right?
That's a big opportunity.
Wow.
For us to say.
And I think
Wow.
that the reason why I asked it, why I even say
Good
this, is
question.
that I think that people are sort of making those micro decisions all the time. And you don't feel like you're reducing your life by 20 years or 30 years, but you are, by lifestyle decisions or, whether it's stress or,
Yeah.
not exercising.
But then you
or,
always hear of,
really
like-
eating terribly. I'm not saying that you have to, I made it extreme because
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
experiments
yeah.
have to be extreme
Yeah.
in order for them to start the conversation.
Totally.
This is like
Yeah.
in philosophy, this is like a lot of philosophy, especially
Yeah.
ethics classes are like these thought experiments. And then you just talk about it, and you're like, what would
I
that be,
just I just always think about like the 100-year-olds that are like, yeah, the secret to the long life is drinking a ice cold Pepsi and smoking 5 cigarettes a day. Like, and you're like, what?
But this is guaranteed. Though.
I know,
That's
I
the
know.
difference.
But it's just funny because you're
What's
like,
your answer, bro?
I don't know.
How the fuck do you not know? Come on, you can't like be the philosophy major, bring the philosophical question to the table, and not have your own.
I think that the answer is I would not eat pizza.
Yeah, you would.
That was
You'd
my
just be
answer,
like,
too.
if okay, it's 1 year. You're like, okay, great, it's 1 year. I'll eat the pizza. Like,
Why?
I think that
It's
I
50
feel
years, bro.
like
What if I gave you 100, man? Wouldn't you take it?
but what
have you
do you
ever heard
really
of-
want to live that much longer than all your friends and family and shit?
But you'll make new friends and family.
yeah, you
Yeah,
would.
I guess so.
You would.
But still,
You'd have basically a second life.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, you'd get in.
Think
you'd
about
get
like a company you're building too. Now it's a fucking 150-year-old company that you've been running. Like, where are you at?
It's
You're
like
I think the
10
question
Jeff
is,
Bezos.
yeah, for sure.
Over. You know what I mean?
it's like when you play video games with some guys like all night long, and they're all like, "We're gonna log off. We're gonna log off," and you're like, "I'm playing one more," and then you play with a whole new group of people, and you play for like a little while
and then you
longer
become
with
friends
them.
now. You know, that's a great
You
example.
double dip
Have you
in
ever
one
heard
night.
of the Devil's Paradox? So
I've heard of it, but what is it?
I forgot of this.
Oh yeah, so it's a really interesting thought experiment. It's kind of similar. So let's say you're in purgatory, right? It's not good.
Between
It's
heaven
not-
and hell.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
terrible, right?
Limbo.
Yeah. And the devil comes to you and he says, "Hey, by the way, hell's really bad, but heaven is also like, better than you could imagine, right? Let's just imagine that." And he says, "You're going to be in purgatory basically indefinitely. But if you come to hell for 1 day, you sign this contract, come to hell for 1 day, I'll give you like 10 days in heaven." Right? Do you sign the contract? And then you go back to purgatory just to.
That's it. That's the whole contract is 1 day in hell for 10 days in heaven.
Yeah, let's just. This is just the beginning of the thought experiment, but I just need you to say yes or no.
Yeah.
I would say no.
No.
I feel like I'd say no too.
Hell seems too intense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say no.
So how
as
about
well.
100? New contract.
100 days. Ooh, more interesting. I'd do that.
Okay.
I think I'd probably do it.
Okay. End of day one, you survived. It was bad, but you survived.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of day one, he goes, okay, here's your 100 days. You're about to get 100 days, but remember, eternity, purgatory. Okay. New contract. I'll give you 200 more days.
For?
One more day.
Okay, I'll take it.
You take it?
Sure. So like at the end of day one, I'm about to go to heaven, but he's like, can you do one more? If you do one more day, I'll double it. And you're like, fuck it. I just did one. I'll do two.
Yeah.
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 I'll
So
do
now-
it.
This is after your 100 days. He just gave you a better deal.
No. This is after
Oh,
day
you
one.
One day.
upgraded my deal.
Yeah. So I said for one more day. Now, if you sign this contract, you'll actually have 300 days.
I'd
Yeah.
still do it.
I
Because
would
I'm
do
like,
a whole nother week probably.
Okay.
let's see.
Okay. But at the end of the week, okay, I like this. So let's just skip ahead. So you got 1,400 days.
No. I'm assuming you're going to keep doing this for another week.
Okay.
You're folding the paper, bro.
What
for
I'm gonna-
7 days straight.
You
get what I'm saying here?
No, but when you're like, I'm done. You're going to say I'm done, right? You're going to, at some point you're going to say I'm done. But
Yeah, because you wouldn't need.
But
eternity.
hear me out. But now I'm
eternity.
gonna eternity. But now I'm gonna say, okay, 200. All right, listen, I'll give you 500 more for one more day.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next day, I'll give you 500 more. You do it?
Yeah, I told you I'd give it a whole week.
Okay, but at the end of the week,
I'm out.
really?
Yeah.
I'll give you 1,000 days for one more day.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'll give you 10,000 days.
I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out.
1,000,000 days.
You
I'll
give
do
me
it
like
for
15
I'll do
years,
it for
bro.
10,000 days. I'll do it for 1,000,000 days.
1,000,000 days is a different level, yeah.
Okay.
But then after heaven,
So
you have to go
do
to
you wanna sign?
purgatory for
Huh?
You
eternity.
want to sign?
One more day?
Yeah.
And I get 1,000,000 back.
Yeah.
I'll sign.
Okay, so you're not done after a week.
I am because the marginal effect of it isn't worth it. I've negated now 15 years of happy. Like I can be happy for 15 years and then deal with this shit again. I'm okay with that. Which is the same philosophy I have at the core.
Okay, but
about eating well to live
do
longer.
you see where this is going? The reason why this is called the devil's paradox is
Because you
he's
you
playing
just
with
stay in hell.
infinity.
Yeah.
So he can up the. You already said yes to 100,
Yeah.
right? So logically, you wouldn't ever not say yes to a
Dollar
million.
cost averaging. It's basically it.
But
You wouldn't ever
You
not
wouldn't
say yes
ever
to a
say
million.
not yes to a million.
1,000,000 is different than 100 though. Bro.
I know.
No, I'm giving you a
But
new
he's saying
contract.
the benefit is he's playing with infinity.
I can do whatever I want.
He'll go, okay, now will you do one more day for
A billion.
a billion? Will you do one more day for a trillion? And you're
How
like,
about
yeah.
5
I don't
trillion?
need them in eternity.
Because eternity. Because even after the trillion, you're still going back to purgatory.
For another infinity trillions.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
always
that's-
got to do one more day in
So-
hell.
I guess eternity is what I'm neglecting here. I'm like, okay, I'll die after 80 years. I'm okay.
No, you're not dying.
Because
Yeah.
you're in purgatory, you're dead. You're already dead, technically.
So the whole point here is that you already said yes to 100. There's no way you're going to turn down a billion for one more day.
Yeah.
Because he's playing with eternity, right? The next contract is even better. Well, you just said yes to 1 million. How about
Yeah,
5
yeah,
million?
I get it,
How about
yeah.
10 million? How about 20 million? And the paradox is that you'll never actually leave hell. Because it'll never make sense to not take the contract.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
It's like a kind of a mind fuck. And it's
You'll spend a whole fucking year in hell at the very least.
yeah, for sure. But at the end of that year, at the end of the year,
Right,
the
deal would just be
366th
so
day,
fucking
the deal is
juicy,
like,
I have to
yeah.
take it.
you're like, well, I gotta take
Fuck
that.
me, bro. 20 trillion. Damn, bro. I'll sign.
Right? It's an interesting thought experiment. And I feel like this is kind of I think about this is also kind of like the reverse of the marshmallow test.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Have you ever heard of that? Where
What is
the
it again?
There's like this Stanford experiment. It's kind of controversial now because the people have said that they haven't replicated it, but it's a longitudinal study where they had a kid, and they would give him a marshmallow in front of him, and they said, we're going to leave the room for 10 minutes, and if you don't eat the marshmallow, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. And then
It's like, how long will he starve before eating a marshmallow?
I mean, not starving.
But like that's the point, right?
Yeah, the point was that they followed the kids and the like more than their IQ and more than the financial status of their parents. It was predictive of success in a bunch of metrics of whether or not they could delay gratification to wait for the 2 marshmallows.
Wow.
Right? So I feel like it's like the reverse of that. And it kind of weird. It's this idea of like what are you willing to do for what? These types of thought
Opportunity
experiments.
cost experiments.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're kind of always playing that game with a lot of things in life, like exercise, your daily routines, what you eat. You know, you're always kind of
Giving and taking.
You don't realize that that's what you're doing. But if you're eating, you know, really bad for 50 years, like you are probably giving up 20 or 30 years. Or I really like smoking, to be clear. I really like cigarettes. I love smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I love it. My whole 20s, I smoked cigarettes. Like writer, you know, like just the total thing. Hemingway, you know, like go outside and think about whatever and listen to a song and then come back and, you know, write
I get
my
the vibe.
novels. It was like the whole
Yeah.
thing. I
Vibe.
fucking loved it.
Coffee and cigarettes, probably.
And I still love it. But I haven't smoked in, I don't know, 6 or 7 years or something, right? But
was that a super hard thing to give up?
no, once I like made the shift, it
was more mental.
Yeah,
than
for
physical.
sure.
Interesting.
But I feel like I've thought about this. Well, if I smoke for the next 50 years, I could probably make it to, 70 or 80, probably.
Yeah.
Right? But I probably will die like 75, 80
Mm-hmm.
if I smoke for the next 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't smoke and eat a little bit healthier and I go on runs and I, kind of do some resistance training, I could probably live to like 95. Like I've thought about this, like on purpose, right? So do I want to live I really like whiskey, I really like pizza, I really like burritos, and I'm just going to dig into that, and I can still be a badass entrepreneur, and I can still be rich, and I can still travel, and I can
You can still live till 85, 90.
You could still live to 85, yeah. And let's say I smoke, maybe I live to 80 or 75, right? Do I want that? That I feel like maybe in the moment it's more pleasurable, it's more enjoyable. Or do you play the game where you're like, no, I think I'm going to get an extra 20 years or an extra 25 years. And so I'm going to, de-risk. And
the thing is, the last 5 or 10 are probably always going to be the same amount of bad. It's just like, how long do you want to extend the good years?
The good years,
like?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like everyone, probably the last like 5-ish years of your life are probably not going to be high quality, not super high quality, which sucks. But like,
I think the meta
that's part of it.
like the pattern even under that question is like, I think self-awareness of like, do you think people are even asking these types of questions about like their future, like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20
probably
years?
not thinking about it.
I don't think people are even aware of it. They're just like in the moment.
Not much. Not much. They know it's probably, they're like, yeah, I know it's bad.
Philosophers used to talk about these things because they didn't fucking have like tons of distractions and shit. They could actually like think for long periods of time. They could pontificate
upon these ideas.
There was no distractions.
Yeah.
They didn't have Instagram.
Yeah, now it comes a little bit differently. Like people are like always looking at what's next. You know what I mean?
I think now they're thinking about
how it is and why it is. And
I almost think now people are thinking about, though, they are looking at their social media consumption. They are, like a lot of people are like, yo, man, like this is actually becoming a problem for me. Like especially kids. Think about high schoolers.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't believe that.
You don't think that it has a huge effect on kids?
Oh no, huge effect. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
you're thinking people aren't thinking about it.
I'm saying they're thinking about it. I'm not saying they're not thinking about it. I'm just saying they ain't doing shit about it.
Yeah.
They're mildly
did you
aware.
Read the stats on your presentation this week?
No, you're not wrong, dude. You're totally
that's
not
average.
wrong. I know.
It's always increasing.
I know. Yeah. Did you see my presentation?
I don't remember the stats.
So it was like TikTok. The average TikTok user watches how many hours of video per month, and the average YouTube user watches how many hours of content per month. and the average TikTok user watches 26 hours of video per month, and the average YouTube user watches 16 hours.
No.
Yeah. TikTok is 26, and
26.
YouTube
Do you know
is
how many
16.
26 hours is a month, bro?
And you're in the video business, so you get this shit.
TikTok? That's
That's
not
outside of. Here's my thing. That's
very
outside of
useful.
Netflix.
It's
That's
not very useful. That's what he said. And you're right. It's not a very useful
use of your time.
Even though people,
It's not a very good use of your time.
this is my real point. Just human psychology.
To be fair, there are like educational TikTokers to a certain extent, but
I listen to some badass lectures and podcasts on YouTube. So like I don't get
Yeah.
it. Like my YouTube hourly consumption. I'm like, bro, I'm
I'm kinda
listening to,
proud
like,
of mine.
physicists and like
yeah,
CEO interviews and like
You're right.
like I don't like that's the equivalent of me reading books. Like
exactly.
I don't read. I don't watch like
It doesn't fall into the
banal
social
shit.
media distraction category.
no.
I agree. So here's my actual point is like, everyone says that, and then they'll go and let's just say, you know what? I'm going to delete Twitter and Instagram because they're distractions. But I'll leave, you know, let's say TikTok. You know, I'll just cut these and then I'll be good. And then what happens is you've created a hole, and then the thing you left fills that hole. And so that's what most people
yeah.
do.
You're like, I'll delete
And you're not
Instagram,
like
but
now
I'll
training
still
for a
have-
marathon instead.
Huh?
You're not like now training for a marathon instead.
Because you're not filling it with something else immediately.
Yeah.
You're just eliminating it without something to fill it. And so what's going to fill it is what's already there, which is more TikTok.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
I think that's a lack of self-awareness of your goals and like
Yeah.
acquiring the skills and doing the things that are necessary to push you in the direction of your goals rather than this like mindless consumption.
Well, exactly, that's the point, right? It's like people say, I'm gonna stop doing this. Well, like, why? Oh, because I
You
want to
have
be
to have-
more productive and it's a distraction. That's not enough, really.
No.
No,
You're
you have
back
to have
to
smart
it.
goals.
You have to be like, I want to give this up, and this year I want to fucking get 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel instead of consuming this content. And so now there's a purpose. Now you're in those moments. You're like, what am I doing? I need to work towards this, and I'm not getting there. I need to get more to work. You know what I mean? It gives you kind of a purpose to fill and combat the flow of what's already in there, which is more TikTok. You know what I mean? If there's nothing growing to push against it, it's just gonna push it out the way.
And I think a lot of these platforms have kind of gotten into that what you were saying with MentorBox. Like you need to log onto the app and have so much content that you're like, okay, yeah, I could be on here for a while.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of like TikTok is still trying to really encourage people to like make stuff because they're like still trying to build that. They're like, we need to have enough useful shit here for everyone.
There's
to like
no matter
be on
what, it sounds like no matter how much supply, there's more demand
Yeah.
at 26 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's like unlimited
Fuck does
demand.
that even mean?
Right, dude. Like
Dude,
it's
dude,
actually
no,
not.
no.
Or 26 hours a month, you said. Yeah,
But here's
26 hours a month,
the real
still.
crazy part is when you break it down to like the average length of a TikTok video that's viewed.
oh,
like
right.
like average length of an actual view is maybe a second and a half. Like people watch and swipe, watch and swipe, watch and swipe, watch,
Oh.
swipe.
Some you watch for a
swipe.
while.
I get it. But I'm saying like the average is way less than the video length average. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you're
Let's
right.
call it
You're
4
right.
seconds average, which is I think is still high. 15 videos a minute.
I think they're getting longer, but you're right.
Bro, you don't scroll and watch a video and then scroll and then watch a video for 10 seconds and then
I
scroll.
don't know.
So
I
that's
like to
90
get
an hour.
I like to give videos
That
a
would be
chance.
90 an hour.
Here's the thing.
At
what
what?
you just said. You said 15.
There's a
At 15.
I'm like, let's do the math.
no,
yeah.
15 per minute.
no. But I'm saying
Yeah.
I think I
oh,
like
shit.
Yeah. So 900 an hour.
900 an hour.
yeah.
times-
That's pretty. Yeah.
Do you,
You'd probably watch that much in an hour.
do you get what I'm saying?
Oh,
Times
God.
26 hours. How many different things of
9,000,
useless shit have you consumed?
18,000. It's like 25 plus 25,000 plus.
I feel like
Per month?
I feel like
yeah. TikToks.
the thing for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's fucking insane. Imagine going through 25.
No, but
25,000
But on,
here's the
on
thing. Here's
YouTube,
the
25
thing.
hours, it might be 18
Yeah.
videos.
No,
It's like, yeah,
no.
it's like 5 Lex Friedman podcasts or
That's
something.
what I'm saying.
No. But you're not thinking about the rabbit holes that people go down. Like you're not just staying on the For You page the whole time.
Okay, bro, let's
Like-
cut that number by
No,
let's
but I'm
remove
saying
20% off the top.
I feel like every time I go onto TikTok, I'll end up discovering someone and their video is so good that I end up going to their profile and watching like so many videos on their profile from start to finish. You know what I mean? So then I'm not.
Okay, let's half it.
Either way,
it's
either
still
way, either way.
12,000.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's still a lot.
People are definitely consuming full length TikToks. It's not like every single person is skipping every single TikTok.
I'm not
after 15
disagreeing.
seconds.
I'm not disagreeing. But like,
Yeah.
Let's say you're right.
Either way, there's still a shitload of videos and a shitload of content that's being created every single day.
The math that we just did, let's say it's, how long is a TikTok? 15 seconds?
You can have a TikTok up to 3 minutes now, but
Oh, damn.
yeah. So it's not just short form content, but probably the average one is like 30 seconds.
So let's say 5,000. Even that. Let's say 5,000 on average a month. 5,000? I mean,
It's nuts.
I'm real particular about who I follow on Instagram. Instagram and YouTube are the ones that I like actually consume. But I feel like every fourth or fifth post, I'm like sharing with an executive, you know,
Yeah,
or I'm like
'cause you've crafted
sharing
it in a
like
good
in
way.
my WhatsApp, like, hey, look at this ad, or like, hey, look at this, you know, look at what they just this cut
Exactly,
from like
exactly. I'm the
everything
same way.
is like
I have
nothing.
groups at this point.
Yeah.
I'm distributing content to these groups
Yeah.
so we can discuss them.
Yeah,
Yep.
nothing. Everyone I follow is like someone I admire or someone that I have a relationship with. Or
I
you know
get
what
it.
I
I
mean?
get it. You don't follow us. It's like, it's
Oh no, I started following you guys. So.
it's okay. It's okay, man. It's not that personal, bro.
No, he just.
No, I mean this
yeah.
is we've like established way
perfect.
more of a relationship, obviously now.
Yeah.
than-
That's actually the coolest part about doing the podcast too, is like
In
getting
person, too,
in
more than
person, because
Zoom,
you
sure.
you get to like form a real. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, I met Nick Shackelford at this conference. It's like, no, I sat down with Nick Shackelford and had a 2-hour conversation, like
Without phones.
without phones. I haven't had some of that. I haven't had a 2-hour conversation with some of my really good friends.
Yeah.
You know,
This is one of my like fuck you money goals, with either an exit or just having executives that run everything, and I'm like in a monthly meeting, just, hey, how's everything going? Like, here's what,
Yeah.
you know, being on like the board, like
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of those two in terms of freedom. Because I eventually do want to go back to like novelist and like philosophy, like that's kind of my dream. But I want to be able to read a book, basically just like MentorBox, but also fiction writers or professors or, you know, anyone, and be able to attract them by
The author.
paying some ridiculous fee if necessary to get them to come. So
yeah. So you read a book and then immediately have them on your podcast
and
and
say,
talk about the
hey,
book.
so what's your number?
That's sick.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's $2,000, cool. Like first class, this hotel, and I'll pay you $2,000. You know, it's $5,000. Great, pay you $5,000. And it's for me. Like I really like this idea, but except it just the scale gets crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah,
and
because you can
don't
basically read any book and then
Yeah.
have any author.
yeah,
That's cool.
And then just pick
And
their
then you
brain
read the
and,
Bible and then you're like, holy fuck. No, I'm just kidding.
I also like in terms
So
of
Jesus, thank you for joining us today. It was,
in terms of fiction, one thing
the Pope comes on.
one thing I also really like the idea of is, let's say, one of the problems of fiction writing is that if you have like 30 characters and one of them is like a sushi chef, it's like, how do you write it coherently in their voice and their perspective and in their language? And, you know, like you have to,
yeah.
it's hard to do that. But if I had a podcast or, you know, where I was like inquisitive, I could be like, who's the best sushi chef, you know, and then just have them on for like a 3-hour conversation,
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
them something that they think
I'm
is
sure they might not
exorbitant.
even want to get paid. A lot of these people, depending
Yeah.
on like MentorBox, right? When you
Yeah.
get to a certain amount of pull.
For sure. But in the beginning, I can just throw money at the problem. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk. I want to be a philosopher.
Now people want to be on Joe Rogan. Before it was like
exactly.
Joe was like, hey, will you be on my show? And they're like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like now it's like a huge PR thing. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine how many people are in his emails just trying to get on the podcast for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I have a super inspiring story.
Yeah. But imagine if he had, you know, $400 million when he began,
Right.
and he just paid everyone $5,000.
400 million? Holy.
I'm just saying, like, wasn't the Spotify deal like 200 or something?
Yeah,
And
at
then-
the lowest, it was definitely like in the low 100s.
Yeah.
That's his deal?
Yeah, so he
The
went
Spotify
Spotify
deal.
exclusive, and it was
I know, but that much?
Yeah.
yeah, like
Stop.
originally it was like written that it was like at least 100 million, and like a bunch of people that were close to him were like, "That's a super low estimate, by the way."
Yeah.
Like, they're like,
I'm sure
"It
there's
was a
also
lot more."
some there had to have been some like performance, you know,
Yeah.
number of
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
views
Bonus
and
or
things
something,
like that,
yeah.
listens.
something.
But
Yeah.
like,
And he's going to do it.
Over how many years?
I think it's 10 or maybe
was
it was
it?
less.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely an amount. Maybe it was either 5 or 10.
But then he also has sponsorship. And he also, I mean, I'm just saying.
He
also,
didn't
once you
lose
have,
any of his sponsorships either.
Yeah.
He kept them all.
Yeah. So he still has sponsors.
Whoa.
He was like, I get to still do my own ads. I still make all the money from. You guys just get the privilege of hosting my podcast on your platform only.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going on YouTube. It's not going anywhere else. It's going on Spotify. And that's basically all you're getting out of this deal.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
Talk about
And if he's a good investor,
long-term
you know,
goals.
that's going to
And the
turn
crazy-
into 400, 500, 600. You know, I'm just saying if he had that like level
I
of
understand.
wealth
I understand.
where you're
do
passively
whatever the
making
fuck he
like
wants
10,
to.
$20 million a year,
And it was-
you know, you can throw around 10 grand.
Exactly.
Like, you know,
It was
like,
smart
no,
of
You
him.
can throw around millions
Yeah.
like it's nothing. Where
Yeah.
20 million a year passively is retarded.
so,
What are you talking about? You're like, if you know he just like lived a mediocre life and had like $20 million a year.
No, dude, like, and it's also super smart of him because he held out on even putting his podcast on Spotify.
Yeah.
Because some people would just be like, yeah, put it, like, sure, get it on Spotify so that, like, I can just have more reach. And he's like, wait, you guys are going to take my podcast and put your own ads on top of it, including my ads? Fuck you. No.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going on Spotify. But for me, I was like a young podcaster. I'm like, yeah, put me on Spotify. Like, we're on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, we're not getting fucking paid.
That's right.
Maybe we should have held out.
I listen to this podcast on Spotify. I don't even listen to it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But
But
that's my vision is like circle back to philosophy and like these types of interesting conversations. Anyways, the point is I love these long form. You're totally right. TikTok generation, TikTok, you know, 5,000, 15-second things is just totally, I can't believe that's very good for your brain. I
no,
would
it's
rather do
gotta
like,
be bad.
you know, a 2-hour podcast or if someone's still
Talk
listening
about
to
lack
this,
of
it's-
focus. Bro.
Yeah. Give me a break. Yeah.
Like it's the whole next generation is going to be very hard to manage.
I mean, that's what Cal Newport says. He wrote "So Good They Can't Ignore You," which I love that line. It was what was the comedian that he got it from? But anyways, it was some comedian, some kid came up to him afterwards and asked him the question like, "Hey, you know, I want to be a comedian. Like, you know, what's your advice? You know, to like make it in comedy and everything?" And he goes, "Oh, you just have to be so good they can't ignore you." Like that's the only way to really do it, like to guarantee it, is you have to be just so like Adele, for example,
Yeah,
singing.
yeah.
Like Adele was not gonna not make it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you just
as long as she's
despite all
like
physical appearance,
like it doesn't matter.
anything,
Like
she's
Adele,
not your
you just
typical-
listen to her, you're like, oh yeah, like fuck yeah, of course, she's like top 5 in the world, like guaranteed. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no,
She's just
it's like, and
insanely
you
good.
listen to
Yeah.
some YouTube people that are like really good, and you're like, wow, you're doing covers and you're really good, but
Like,
you're not.
damn,
Adele.
why aren't you famous? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like why not? You say that, but if they were that good, they would be famous, or their stuff would have like 10 million views or something. Like Adele is,
Or they
on a
have
different
some,
level.
or they
Like, she
have
just
some
is,
like limiting belief too. I feel like
Yeah, it
sometimes,
could
but you're right about Adele. Like she sings in front of one person, they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not just good. You're like fucking insanely
Yeah,
good.
it's like
Yeah.
it's just some of it. It's anyways. That's what he said. So good they can't ignore you. And the
you're right,
punchline of this
you're right.
this professor Cal Newport from University of Georgetown says that he wrote a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You, and he's talking about like how to be successful in your career or business. And then he wrote a book called Deep Work, and he says that the number one predictor of success in modern society, like right now, is your ability to focus on one task for a long period of time without being distracted. That's what he said.
Makes sense.
That's
no one has
It's like
Really?
this massive competitive advantage. Like I just
You're
can
right.
sit and just focus and zone in and produce something.
Most things take way less time than we think. We just
Yeah.
don't apply enough unbroken attention.
focus and attention. Yeah. Because, dude, I had like so many epiphanies about that a while ago, and I was thinking about like work, like what actually work is. Like we're doing a lot of computational work and stuff like that. Like that AI will probably eventually take over, and it's like if we had unlimited power, right? Unlimited power.
You're going to the crypto.
No. I'm just going to compute. Like
okay.
like, but yes, but no. Like if we had unlimited power, we could power like any supercomputer. Like then all we'd have to do is just build that computer. Like, so it's like what I'm saying is how many people would that replace as far as like thinking power? You know what I mean? Like, so then if you don't even have to think, like what is the value of like the human, Yeah.
this is a legitimate question that I ask, and the more employees I have and the more money I have, the more like the more reps I would say that I'm getting at making decisions that have like fairly big consequence. Like my Archimedes lever is getting longer and longer and longer. Like every year it's getting longer and longer and longer in terms of,
and you've got more to pull.
Yeah. And so I'm not like Ray Dalio or something where you're like really thinking like, well, you know, what's happening in China in 5 years is going to do this to Singapore. Like that's a totally different thing. And like also I can change it not just because I have billions of dollars, but also I can change it because I'm, you know, I had a meeting with Biden and then I had a meeting with, you know, the president of China, you know, like that's a different thing, you know, where you really are like moving levers of the entire
you're
world.
not just predicting.
Influence.
Yeah, exactly. But
is that what you
I'm
want to
getting,
do with like, because you said you're kind of into politics and stuff. Would you want to have like meetings with fucking Biden and shit, or at least the president?
I think so. But
that's so
my
cool.
wife keeps on vetoing it. She's like, we're not doing that, you know. And I'm like, well, that might be my destiny. But we'll see. But if I keep on, you know, you keep on compounding and you keep on having more employees and more influence and more connections with other people that are super high level that, you know, we're all together going to be in 10 years, like that room. If there's going to like the agency founders, like 10 to 20 of us in 10 years, there's going to be like billions of dollars of net worth. Right. Like, we just know
100%.
And if we're all friends the whole way, like
it'll get there.
Now
fast.
we have crazy leverage, crazy influence on all kinds of things. We're like, you know what we should do? We should fucking build a school in this, you know, town in Georgia. And it happens. Like it actually happens, right? So you're really moving the needle of like society.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
And
I always think
to your point about robots, I'm going to come full circle back to that. Like the more that I read about like macro stuff, the more I'm thinking like universal basic income, this kind of is like a new thing in society. I wonder if, like, for lack of a better, like the lower like 20% of the population, I don't think that like the old school General Motors union jobs are coming back ever. They're just never going to come back because Tesla proved that, you know, the robots can build the Teslas better than, you know, 1,000 union workers, right? So
and also one human assisting a robot is also right now like the most cost effective thing they've seen.
For sure.
But still,
or like
you're
coal,
replacing
like coal
a lot
is
of
not
human power.
like it's not going to be a thing. Like oil is not going to be a thing. Like all of these things that we, you know, are currently like running society,
dependencies
are not going to be a thing in 15, 20 years. Like they're not going to think. And the same reason why like anything you learn at business school nowadays is almost like irrelevant, because even if you're on the cutting edge of like whatever course is teaching you on TikTok advertising right now, like in our world, is going to be irrelevant in 2 years because maybe TikTok, like, you know, everyone's over it and it's like a next thing, right? So the pace of change is so fast in technology that it's hard to predict so anything you learn, you just have to be constantly learning to be on the cutting edge. But we're moving in the direction of any like highly skilled, highly specialized position is going to be taken over by AI and robots for sure. So that is a real question. What do you do with like the lower 20, 30% of the population that is not highly skilled or trained or whatever it may be, and everything else can be done by a drone, you know, that just drops everything to your house, or, you know, everything is a robot, or, you know, everything is voice recognition, you know, welcome to blah, blah, blah. What would you like today, sir? You know, I'd like to da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, would you like to sit near a window or blah, blah, blah? Okay, I'm gonna sit here. Okay, go to table 5 and we'll bring your, you know, stuff in 3 days. And it's like, or 3 hours or 3 minutes. And it's
imagine you order a cheeseburger, it won't be there in 3 days.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like you
have to pre-order a lot of food.
I'm inventing this, you know, this kind of new world. Like,
no, you're right. Like, you take it down the rabbit hole. You're like, what's the next logical step? And then what's the next logical step? And
so
you're
what
like,
do you do
okay,
with the 30% of the population that are truck drivers and, you know, work at fast food and work at Walmart? And
it's like the whole learn. It's the whole like learn to code thing.
But what? Because what you're educating on them is going to be
at that point. It depends what supports the system of the robots.
Yeah. But there will be a point where you don't need that many. Like,
yeah, you're right.
You just won't need it.
You're right. It's the whole like learn to code thing. It's like, you know, like they were, you know, it's like learn to code, haha. But it's like, What do we do?
But you might not need to code. You might
Yeah.
say, I would like an app that does this and kind of does this.
Exactly,
And it's
exactly.
like Kajabi, but it's missing the SMS. So like make sure that does like, you know, this and this and
That's
this.
going to be real.
And like, okay, like that's what I want. And then the AI is like, okay, well, I was going to, okay, cool. Like, and then it
here's
just
your
gives it to you.
MVP, sir.
Yeah. Like when that
Literally.
happens, now learn to code is not important.
Exactly. You're
Like,
right. You're right.
This is gonna happen. Like I have this vision for whatever reason. I keep on having this dream, this vision. I think it was from like a picture I saw from like Singapore. Singapore is like kind of crazy like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like a skyscraper that's a greenhouse, right? So like aquaponics or something like that, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like this self-sufficient, you know, kind of robot-driven greenhouse skyscraper thing.
Like
And I
in
have-
Dune, where like it's like a self-sufficient. You're like breathing in, you're drinking your
Yeah,
own
yeah,
sweat
yeah,
and shit
yeah,
at like 99%
yeah,
capacity.
that's like a
efficiency.
kind of gross version of it. But yes, yeah.
But instead of
this,
one
like,
human, it's a society.
But imagine having these like massive, maybe like let's say New York City had like 100 of them,
Yeah.
right? And at the top is like tomatoes, and the next one is potatoes, and the next one is whatever. I mean, even like it could be
a massive vertical garden.
massive vertical garden in every city
Yeah.
that was run by robots. It was automatic, you know, sun and you know everything, perfectly symbiotic with everything, and then also drones, which are also solar, and every citizen has an app, or maybe it's not even an app, it's just voice control or whatever, and they say, I want, you know, 15 potatoes, 2 tomatoes, da 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 da. And then it's here's you know the drone just like drops it at your door.
What does it sound like?
I think I said da 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 da.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just clarifying.
Yeah, that was what it
That's
said.
going to be the future sound.
and you know it's
Patenting
a you know biodegradable you know in
Satchel that you just put in the
thing
ground
that
or whatever.
you know just is at your door.
It's a
Like
utopia.
when that happens,
Then what?
I don't think it's that far off. Is my point. Like if Elon Musk and you
Or
know,
it could go
was
to
like we're building this.
There's-
Him, Jeff, and
I-
Billy
yeah,
got together
yeah.
and they're like, let's make
I
this
think they
happen.
could do it.
Because it's a logistics issue at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
it's
And they're
exactly.
logistics companies. They can
It's robotics
solve
and logistics.
massive compute.
And so now you solve food.
yeah.
Like
And then-
I'm not joking.
Okay, wait. Why
and
was
that would
food,
that
why
would
is food not solved? Like,
right
That's a good
now. Why is
question.
it not solved?
yeah, but like, why? How would that solve food? Why is food not solved right now?
I don't think that there's.
No, he's saying
like,
it's solved for people. They don't even have to go to work to get food.
Yeah, it's just
and then
like
it'll
it's
be
like
like-
part
I
of.
thought you were saying like world hunger.
It would
It would be
eventually,
both, yeah.
if you scaled
It
it
would
up.
start in obviously first world countries. I'm just saying, like the idea being that if you the same way that a country builds a bridge, right? They're like, we're going to invest in infrastructure, right? We're going to build a bridge.
Yeah,
we're going
yeah.
to build a subway. We're going to build whatever.
That's
And
why you can buy a car for like $10,000. You know, it's
Yeah.
like back in the like that car never cost $10,000 when it was first made, and it cost bajillions of dollars in R&D. But once you
yeah, exactly. And my point is, so let's say, you know, the taxes of of New York City, they're like, hey, we're going to build all of these, and you know, here's access to the app, here's training, this is how you use it, and now
Gotcha.
everyone has food, and it's because food just grows, right?
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like
that's if I guess the leadership has the main goal of reducing human suffering. You know what I mean? But if their main goal is always just like capital gains and trying to just make the most money out of it, like
yeah.
it could easily
I think that's
flip
the
and
answer is that
become,
there's no
like-
capitalistic incentive for it right now. But
Yeah.
and also maybe the technology doesn't exist, but whatever. My point is that
But we could imagine it. So
imagine
it could.
if this is in 10 years or 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And other things are robotics, and there's AI, and you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm honestly asking the question, like, what do you do with after like food and shelter and you know basic stuff? Also, you have you know unlimited entertainment in your VR.
Are you asking like, what if we were in a utopia? What would you do?
I don't think it's a utopia. I think it's like 5 more pieces of technology like scaled up.
Yeah. So what are you asking? What would you do?
So basically-
career-wise?
So basically,
what do
you
we
don't
do
need-
as a society for like the 30 to 40% of the population that doesn't have to do the things that are now done
by robots.
in order to produce the basics of society?
I get it. We're fucked. I mean, it's
I think what will
No, it's an interesting philosophical
No,
question. Like
it's
you're
very
the
interesting.
dictator of the country. Like I play this dictator game. I'm like, imagine I'm the dictator of the country.
and
Like,
you had to make a choice.
like you have to make a decision. Like what do you do?
I get it.
Like what do you do with 30% of the population?
What do you do,
that-
bro?
I think honestly,
Well, no,
I think
not
that-
you. You're.
I think
Yeah.
that it's like I think you do. I think you're. I mean, you said education. I think you're right, but I think it's education for
Well, you're asking education on what?
not education for a skill that's necessary for the basic of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. not that.
Yeah.
Because that's already done.
Yeah.
So it's more like something that gives you and your community joy.
Yeah.
You know, something communal, more service based, something like that. I think that I think we're going to check off the box. I know
Even
it sounds
entertainment,
crazy.
bro. Entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment for sure. Yeah.
Content
community
might be the biggest career.
Yeah.
I think about it, and I think artists will actually be the ones that will have to make the shift on that kind of stuff. Because I think, like I said, if the end goal of the whoever kind of has control over, you know, that type of capital, you know, amount to make something like that happen, the main goal would have to be, you know, reducing human suffering to the most minimal levels, right? That's kind of what we're trying to do. So I think there will probably have to be a flip from like a purely capitalistic driven motives to like people driven motives. And I think that'll probably happen with crypto, because we'll say like as a group, we'll be like, no, we're not taking those dollars anymore. Like, we don't want those. We want the people dollars. We want the dollars controlled by all of us that can dictate things like, yeah, we do like as a collective want to try to solve these massive problems, you know? I think like that type of shift will have to happen. And I honestly think it's through entertainment, a lot of that can happen. Like, I was thinking on a huge level, like, let's think of like the dopest event ever, you know, like just a really cool concert, whatever, things like that. But we'll only take, let's just put it in an example of like, we'll only take our weird currency that you can only use at our event. Events already do this. Like Tomorrowland in Belgium, you have to pay, and like once you go to the event, you pay in like imaginary pearls that are on your bracelet. It's fun. Like, it's like a new currency. You're like, whoa, we're all paying in this cool virtual currency. I tap my bracelet and I get a beer, you know? So like, I almost think the entertainment industry will almost like force everyone in a certain way. Cause like, okay, you want to be stingy and hold your money and you're going to say my stuff isn't worth anything. You're not going to have any fun, because we have the sickest event in the world and everyone else is willing to like convert their dollars to our weird thing, but you're not. So you're not going to have fun. Like, artists can be almost like the gatekeepers, sort of, if they can like create some really dope shit. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have an answer to your question or no?
What do we do with the
Well, give me your answer and then I want to talk about something else.
Here's what I'm saying. If you don't have to if you don't have
you're like, I want to talk about something else.
I just have something that's on my mind.
if you don't have I'm saying if you don't have a job for like logistics or transportation or even construction or food production, like all of those jobs are now unnecessary. That's like 40% of the population of the world. That's all I'm saying, is that like we got to do something with that. Like,
what do you do? That's my question.
I think it'll be service based, entertainment based.
I'm so serious. Like,
entertainment based would probably make a lot of sense. Like, I think about the people that are like getting paid right now by Facebook to go hang out in their like metaverse app. I think it's called like World's Horizon or some shit like that. It's like they're literally paying people like $15 an hour to hang out in VR. They're working from home, but they're walking around the virtual world. And when people have like questions about this new world, they're like, yo, how do I get to Moo Moo Meadows or whatever the fuck the place is? And they're like, oh, it's right over there. And they're like, wait, you're a real person? And they're like, yeah, I work for Meta. And you're like, wait, you're a real guy and I'm just hanging out with you? And they're like, yeah. They're like, how much do you make? And they're like, yeah, like $15 an hour. I'm working from home. And you're like, what the fuck? You're working right now and you're hanging out in the metaverse? Like, what the fuck? But that's real right now.
It actually makes total sense. It's exactly why Uber still doesn't make a profit, is because they have to invest in supply so intensely when they move to a new country. So they have to overpay drivers for like 3 to 5 years, because if you are like, hey, Uber's in Thailand or whatever, right? Yeah, exactly. You have to overflood the market with drivers in the beginning.
It's be so fucking sexy. Everyone wants to do.
Yeah, they're like, why would I not be an Uber driver right now? Like, fuck it, dude. Fuck my job.
I almost became an Uber driver.
Yeah.
I uploaded my license and it just kept having errors, and that's the only reason I never drove Uber.
Damn.
Dude, when I was still trying to like make it, I would literally try to Uber on like New Year's Eve and nights like that, instead of going out and partying, because I'm like, dude, I can get like $400 a ride.
Fuck yeah. 5
rides. Like, this is a lot. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I always knew like I wasn't trying to be like an Uber driver, but like if
you were cerebral about it.
Yeah, exactly. I was very intentional with it as well. Yeah. But
you're like, oh, I can arbitrage this game in this
Right,
way, and
just
be like,
take
if I do
the-
it 5 days, even 5 days a year,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
can make like
My
5
hours
grand.
worth
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, why not?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so my topic I want to talk about, since capital gains was mentioned, is where you live. You live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Give me a little juice on that.
Yeah.
What's
so,
that actually like, and why are you living there?
yeah. We were joking earlier. I was like, it's not about taxes. It's like totally about taxes. But I also really like it. I live in Old San Juan, and so my wife really loves Europe, and Old San Juan is like an island off of the island in a way, and it's this old Spanish town. So it's like cobblestone streets, like really narrow, and lots of cafes and like bakeries and restaurants.
It's got that fort at the tip of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've been
and
there.
it's also
I've
just
been there.
gorgeous.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's super gorgeous, and like we live next door neighbor to the governor, so there's like police everywhere, and it's just like really safe and beautiful and community. Like, I'll give you an example. When we moved there, we had multiple neighbors that knocked on the door and like gave us baked goods. When we
Wow.
moved
I
there.
get you.
Like that, I'm like, oh god,
That's
like,
really
this
sweet.
is cool. This makes me feel like a small town in Indiana or something. You know what I mean? Like old school. So I like it. My wife likes
Are
it.
your neighbors like Americans? Are they Puerto Ricans? What are they?
No, they're mostly Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially in like old San Juan, I feel like.
Are there?
Because it's like
My
very
direct
classic and
neighbor,
stuff.
the dad is Puerto Rican and the mom is American, but she's like been.
Are there
she's lived there for
neighborhoods that
15
like
years or
it's
something.
just like a bunch of like rich ass American guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're, like,
There's a lot
known-
of crypto there too.
They're
I
like
would
known
say.
areas, right?
Yeah, Dorado and Condado are the two areas for sure.
A bunch of fucking filthy money everywhere.
Filthy money. Yeah, there's a lot of crypto there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because capital gains is 0.
Yeah, that's
So
why it's crazy.
Too sick.
And it's funny. I've been to events where people have like one of the speakers is like, this is how you do like a trust and then insurance and then like you reverse engineer this insurance and then you invest in your own this and like
crazy
all this
shit,
kind of
yeah.
shit. And I'll walk up to him afterwards and I'm like, okay, so is this because I live in Puerto Rico? And they're like, oh no, I can't beat Puerto Rico. Like that's like built into the IRS code. Like where you don't have to do anything. You just like you have to fill out the form. Like you really live there, and then
You have to
like,
live
it's
there
done.
6 out of 12 months for
Yeah.
2 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for 2
That's-
years, and then you can still leave.
but then you have
or
to
what?
buy a house. You have to buy a house.
Fuck it, bro. Just
Yeah,
with the money you
for
saved
sure.
me on buying
Yeah.
a house.
So you buy a
Yeah.
house, and then you're like, you have a little bit more leeway because you're like you're proven that you're a resident.
So you just got to do that for 2 years.
And then I think it goes down to you still have to be there for 3 months. It also has to be your primary. This is the most.
Your primary
My lawyer
address.
was hilarious. It was like, you know how you make sure that this applies to you, and he goes, actually live there. He's like, the IRS is not stupid. Right?
Yeah.
Like also the auditing percentage for people that move there is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone gets audited, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you're
it
gonna
was like
get
the whole
audited, you know?
loophole about having like a Montana tag on your car. It was like, okay, we all know guys don't actually live in Montana. You're just trying to get a tax break on the
But if
registry of
that's
your
the
car.
rules, that's the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he's like, they're not stupid. They know what's happening. Like you're gonna get audited, and it has to be your primary residence, and prime meaning that that's actually where you live, and it's not like, well, I was working, for 3 months, so I was really only there for 3 months, but then, and it's like, no, bro, you have a house in, like Savannah, like we know that's where you live, like if you have a house somewhere else that's your primary residence, or like your kids go to school in New York, it's like, bro, you live in New York, like you're not going to get the tax break. So you actually do have to live there.
For 2 years.
No,
and then
that's
it
what I'm
goes
saying.
down.
And then it
goes
down. And then it goes down to 3 months.
Then it goes
he
down to
said.
3 months
Every year.
Yeah.
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 So you still got to
But it
live
still
there.
has to be your primary residence. So again, like your license has to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I
Like
get
you
it, I
can't
get
have like another house that you live in Tennessee for 9 months out of the year, and then you like vacation in Puerto Rico. No, like you can't. That has to be your primary residence. It's like
So why is there a 3 month rule then?
because a lot of people are
Travel.
like
travel
traveling
for
a lot.
work
Yeah.
and shit like that.
Yeah.
It does make sense. But so you moved there what year?
What was it? It was like right in COVID 20.
Nice. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a nice time to move there, yeah?
Yeah,
Everything
it was
is shut down.
August of 20. Yeah.
And you
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it was actually cool. Yeah.
No, you mean holy.
you know
I
what's
keep
funny is
forgetting
that
that we're in
2022 now.
22.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
so
funny. I
intense.
went to Puerto Rico right before COVID. I went there.
Yeah.
I went there in like January or February of 2020 with
nice.
my family, and it was awesome. I liked
Yeah.
it a lot.
You recommend it, like living there, actually?
Yeah, I like it. I think it depends on.
Is it worth?
It's
You
like
have to
when
be
money?
willing to
It's
do
like
it.
when people.
Is it worth the money, long term, not just short term? Back to our devil's, whatever the fuck it is. What
Devil's
is it?
paradox.
Devil's paradox.
Is it worth the money long? Like, how many years do you live there and give up happiness somewhere else before you take that money and just go live more happily somewhere else?
But I think Puerto Rico, for a lot of
Right.
people, will be the source of happiness. Like eventually, especially if all the tax breaks continue. Think about how many like wealthy ass motherfuckers are gonna move there,
And so
and it'll be fun.
yeah, it is a bit of a devil's paradox. You're right, because it's like
yeah,
as the pot
like
gets
living in
bigger,
Hawaii.
the capital gains it gets bigger, and it's just like it's bigger.
You want to
and bigger
keep
and bigger
staying,
and
but it's
bigger.
like also I have $100 million. Do I really care?
Yeah, does it
anymore?
really care? Yeah, does it
Yeah.
really matter? Yeah, I think that there definitely will. I'm in stacking mode right now.
Yeah,
So like I know like for the next like 5 years I'm like hardcore stacking. I have energy
yeah.
and I have skill, and I'm kind of in that sweet spot right now. I feel like I can compete in the open market like really well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can crush for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So while
Crush
that's
doing
happening, just my companies,
Okay.
and also
what's your main focus right
I
now?
think crypto as well. Like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that we got a window here,
there is a window for sure.
where it's going to become saturated eventually, and all the hedge funds are going to come in like super hard, and
Yeah, yeah.
everything's going to stabilize, and you'll still have better returns and anti-returns and inflation, right? Like
Yeah,
it's still going to be way better, I think,
Yeah, but
long
like
term.
5% a year, 3% a year.
Yeah, like I mean, you'll,
and even that's still good.
but like
for
actually,
banks and shit.
but actually, not 5% minus, 7% minus your 5%, actually losing 2%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like an appreciating asset and staking at 5 to 10%. So, I think that I'm just kind of in a Goldilocks zone right now for my
And your wife likes it?
and she like
As long as she likes it, because that's the important one. Luckily, she's Hispanic, so that helps a lot.
she's Native American.
Oh, so she's speaking Spanish
No.
prior to Puerto Rico?
No,
Oh,
or
okay.
still
And how has that been?
we don't speak Spanish really.
I got around Puerto Rico like completely.
Yeah,
Normally.
I mean
It's technically you have a U.S. passport.
Yeah,
like,
they're
everyone
all
there is,
American.
Like,
They're all
American.
I was
American
like, yo,
citizens.
what's up? And they're like, yo.
Yeah,
I mean, in
especially
the right
the
places,
young, especially young people.
If you're in like San Juan,
Is there a lot of crime, like robbery?
in some parts, yeah, but just like any city,
And
Like,
they
no-
bully you for not speaking Spanish sometimes?
yeah, there's some people that you feel a little like
Intimidated by.
what the
They don't like you there. They're like you're invading.
Well, yeah, there is a
No,
bit.
I'm talking more like cops, like picking you a little bit
Oh
extra.
no! All the cops. I mean, they see me walk out of the door, and we're like, oh, actually, it's a really nice friend.
because you live right next to the governor, so
Yeah.
you're seeing cops all the time.
Oh, there's like dozens
They're
outside
like,
of
this
my
guy's
house. at all
probably
times.
safe. He like probably
He
won't.
moved here on purpose. Like he moved here like knowing that
Yeah.
we're right here, so he's got to be at least a pretty good guy.
No, I don't know. Like, there's no crime around where I live. Like,
Yeah.
no crime, zero. I don't. Also, like I live where the cruise ships are. They dock
Nice,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's like in. I mean, this
a lot
is
of
a
touristy
terrible.
shit you
There's
can
a
do.
there's a terrible. This is a terrible example, but it's like the cartels in Mexico will leave alone, like Cancun, and they
Yeah.
leave alone. Because they're like, there's too much money here, tourism, for them to want it to feel unsafe for tourism. Like if it feels,
Yeah.
if they're playing a long game, right? And if they're like, oh, I'm gonna grab more money for right now because I want to steal whatever. But if you do that too many times in the short term,
There's gonna be nothing else
you
to
lose
steal.
billions of dollars in income for that area.
Yeah,
So then
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing to steal, right?
For
So
sure.
Honestly, Old San Juan is, I think that, any city, like I don't feel
Yeah.
less safe there than New York or LA or.
No, when I was
or,
walking around there, it was
wherever.
very friendly.
Yeah.
People were super nice.
They're really friendly.
Yeah.
They're
Especially,
super,
I feel like
everyone's
the-
like, hey, like,
We went to
good
this.
morning.
I bet you've been there. There was like this breakfast spot that we went to. It was like kind of near this like little town square kind of area, and it was like on those cobblestone roads. We went
Yeah.
into this breakfast spot, and it was packed.
Yeah.
So packed.
Yeah.
Like we saw a bunch of Google reviews for it,
Yeah.
and we went and got just like it was almost like Waffle House, where it's just like there's literally just a guy like frying up shit on a flat top, and it's just like dank, like for no reason. You're like, this place is a shithole as far as like cleanliness and like no decor. Like it's just like a white walls and a bunch of like just basic ass like tables and chairs you'd see in like a church, like an old church or something. But they're just making like the like super good like eggs and shit.
Mallorca. I know what you're talking about.
I think so. Yeah.
It's like right like outside of this big square.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like you definitely knew it because it was like outside of this big square, and you walk in on the right. There's like all the there's like the bar and shit, and on the
left,
it looks
really
like
bad.
Yeah,
but it's
like
really
shit.
famous as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
So, question for you, because I think our time is coming to an end.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been awesome, by the way.
It's been a really good one.
Yeah,
it's
you
fun.
too.
Thank you for your time. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah,
I feel like we didn't really wrap up his companies now. I feel like we kind of like talked about them briefly. Do you want to just mention your company, like your current projects?
I do two projects right now. One is called DealRaise, DealRaise.com, and we raise money for companies. So it's
of what size?
It has to be at least a $2 million raise.
Nice.
So average
That's
is
sick.
like 5 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
The races take like 2 to 3 months, and so we help you from beginning to end. We do like Reg D 506C rounds, so it's paid media to a funnel. An accredited investor that's pre-pitched on your deal will show up on your calendar. So you're talking to a millionaire that's like, "Hey, I heard about your real estate deal in Phoenix," or
They're
"Hey,
pre-pitched.
they're pre-pitched."
Nice.
And so we build everything. It's like front to end. And
Pre-pitch just means they've looked at marketing assets from the deal and shit like that.
Yeah, and like the deck and emails
Assets,
and all this.
Like, so you're getting on a call with an somewhat informed.
Yeah, they're not like, wait, what's the deal? They know the general terms.
They get the gist. They get the
history.
return.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're already pre-vetted on our side that they're an accredited investor. So our KPI is basically like,
It's a great offer.
the equivalent of a.
Like, I could try to go do this myself, and it's going to be a pain in the fucking ass, or I just go with these guys.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't digital marketers at all, so they don't know how to do this at scale. They have their referrals and their small syndicate of friends, and they're like, I need more money. I can either go to a bank, but I can't do it for whatever reason because of the deal, or I can't get it all. Like sometimes, especially with real estate deals, they'll be like, I'm doing 55 million. I got 45 million from the bank. I got 5 million from my already syndicate, but I need 5 million to top it off. Like that kind of thing.
And
we'll come in and be like, okay, we'll give you another 100 accredited investors, like from the vastness of the internet, which they don't know how to do, but we do, and we'll pull them in and, and hand them. And so that's going really well. We're like adding people every week to help them raise. And then I also have a company called Virtual Worker Now, which is outsourcing agency. So we have people in like all over the world, and we recruit. We have 12 departments. So like social media, graphic design, video editing, funnel building, customer support, VA, traditional VA work, basically anything. And we're both client facing, but we also started doing joint ventures with agencies who want to add additional services. So like we do ad buying, but we don't do email marketing. And so we'll just do their email marketing for them so they can add additional services. So that's where we're at right now. And
what are the main countries that they've?
We have people in Lebanon. We have people in Saudi Arabia.
You have people in Lebanon?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah, for sure.
How many?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Do they need an office? Would it make it sicker?
Yeah, probably.
I have a nice office overlooking the beach in Lebanon.
Damn.
In the nicest area in Lebanon.
Really? What are you doing there?
I have one person on my team there.
Oh, wow.
And
does it have room for other people?
It is. I was going to turn it into I was going to basically buy the next unit and turn it into like a mini WeWork in Lebanon.
Hell yeah.
So it's already built. This glass that we have in here that we can like switch on and off, the entire office is made of it.
Oh, damn.
It's not like a huge space, but it's like, let's say 2,500 square feet. It's still enough.
So we could grow the team there.
Easily. I calculated like 13 people could easily fit. I even custom made all the furniture inside of it.
Oh my God.
Like ports inside of it, everything.
Let's
like
do it.
if both our teams are in there, I'm sure they could collaborate. And
For
like,
sure.
It's already set up and sick, bro.
Oh
like sick, like top shelf real estate, brand new building, never occupied. Yeah, parking deck in the basement. It's fucking next level.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, bro. I mean, I'd rather fill the space right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's sick.
That's amazing.
So we'll chat on that. But if you actually have people in Lebanon,
we do.
Like they're in the marketing kind of space too. Like
for sure,
dude. My girls, Amanda's like literally One of our
She's a
top team
beast.
members. She's been with me for like 4 years. Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
amazing.
keep.
All right,
So
that's cool.
But you were saying you have people in Lebanon, people Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, lots in Egypt. We have an office in Cairo, so
Nice.
lots and lots of people in Egypt. And then we're moving into like Eastern Europe. We have some people in Pakistan, Bangladesh. You know, we run ads now everywhere. We started running ads in Turkey, so we have a
Nice.
two-sided funnel, right? So we're always getting North American leads, but we also are always hiring and training and kind of all this, and we're matching them. And so that's scaling at on average about 1 hire a day. So like we're reaching a kind of a critical mass there where it's going real fast.
1 hire a day, not acquiring talent that wants to get a job, but 1 hire a day acquiring a job that's signed. So 1 client a day, you're signed to the business, not to the employee.
No, 1 new employee per day.
Oh, okay.
Hiring. But that an employee is our product.
That's what I'm saying. They're signed. Like 1 employee that's being used.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Not like 1 person is
talent
like,
pool
hey, I'm in the talent pool now.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
No,
We're on the same page.
Yeah, no. We're not just like arbitrarily hiring like anyone. We're it's symbiotic.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So, basically the question that we ask at the end is, if you could go back 5 to 10 years and you could, and nothing stupid like, I would have invested in Bitcoin. Like if you had to give someone life advice that would change their life in a fortune cookie. So you can imagine like your younger 25-year-old self opening up a fortune cookie, reading like 2 lines and being like, fuck, that really hit home. Like I'm going to use this to affect the trajectory of my life. Like what kind of advice would you give someone?
Can it be a compound sentence?
Yeah. It could be a whole fucking. It could be the first page of a book.
You can phrase it.
I'm like, this is going to be like a long.
He's a writer, so he's taking it very literally.
Let me tell you, the fortune cookie, you roll the paper. You like unroll it.
It's a scroll.
It's a scroll inside of it.
It's a digital fortune
I was
cookie.
literally like, okay, I have 9 words.
How small is my font?
Like, what numbers can I put on the back? It's like, no, not like that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I think that I think what I would say, take your vision, be realistic about what you actually want in your life, and then ask yourself, am I willing to acquire the skills that are necessary to accomplish that vision? So like imagine this person, like, okay, this is the life that I want. What does that person do? What skills do they have? How do they think? What is their reality, right?
How do I become that person?
And then draw that back to how do I become that person? And it's just a bunch of skills and actions that you're not doing. Either skills that you don't have and therefore actions that you're not doing.
Yeah.
And I think that being self-aware enough to then say, am I willing to do that in order to acquire the skills to become the person that has that reality, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not, be like honest with yourself and then just fucking chill out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like enjoy the Netflix and the pizza and like your community and your friends and Christmas and just be chill. Like it's fine. Like it's really is fine. You don't have to be like some badass hustler, all the time, right? But if you feel that fucking call to arms, you know what I mean? Then like do what's necessary. And I would say that what's necessary to sharpen the saw is acquire skills through mentors or books as fast as humanly possible and apply it in the real world. Get away from take the theory and say, what is the one thing from this book that I could try, and then really do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like too many people watch courses and then they take notes. Like watch the course and on the other screen, click, do the exact, follow their screen. You know what I mean? Just do it. Do the fucking thing,
Yeah.
Copywriting. This is how you would write a headline. Okay, I'm going to write 15 headlines. My Google Doc is open. You know what I mean? I'm going to just turn theory into action as fast as humanly possible and then get as many reps in as humanly possible, as squeezed in, which means that you're going to not on New Year's Eve go party. You're going to be thinking about how do I make money in Uber. You're going to have to
you have to make those
be
kind of sacrifices. Exactly. I think about that so much.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying it starts with self-awareness of your actual goals. What am I really willing to do this? And if you're not, It's fine. Accept it and like calm down.
that's it.
Like lower the stakes here. Like
Not
just-
everyone's gonna wake up at 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
do 1,000,000 push-ups and drink a gallon of water and do like
Yeah.
like some people just want to wake up with no alarm and have a coffee.
Yeah, but if
You
you
know?
want to build this badass agency and then you're
Just
like,
know what
well,
it takes.
yeah, like, but I'm unwilling to learn anything about like video editing. It's like, well, then, bro, you don't really want to learn it. You know, like, I don't know what to
Exactly.
tell you. Like, you know, so it's I think self-awareness and then like obsessively sharpening the saw through learning from the right mentors, either via books or following the right people or taking the right courses, but then not staying in that theoretical lane.
Yeah.
Immediate action.
Like you said earlier, it's compounding. Even the sacrifices are compounding. I think that's what people forget. Like a late night from Andrew one night, and then like another day where a Saturday comes into play, and another day where he comes back to the office after the gym, and like one is just one in that week or two in that week. But then at the end of the year, it's like 100. It's like 100 to someone's 0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the next year, that 100's like even stronger because your time's more valuable. So now it's like 300 worth to someone's 0.
You're totally
And
right.
Just, you know what I mean? So
And your fluency and your like muscle memory of like, I didn't really, I did that. And now it's like world class to everyone else. is,
Exactly.
like, then you become, it's like compound interest, right? Once you reach a certain level, it's like hard for someone that's just getting started to like keep up with you because you're not only better, but your acceleration is more.
exactly, yeah.
So you're getting better at a faster rate and you're already better than them. Like, good luck competing
Good
with
luck
me, bro.
catching.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so you want to get to that point where you're like at the
Inflection.
the inflection point as
Right, where
fast
it's
as
gonna
possible.
hockey stick
You know what I mean?
up.
And it's going to
Yep.
feel real shitty for a long time because you're not going to be good because no shit, you're not good because
Yeah.
welcome to life, you know?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
eventually-
big welcome.
Yeah, but eventually you're going to wake up and you're like, oh, that was actually good, right? And then the next year, you're going to be like, yeah, of course it was good, but I'm already onto the next thing that's even more cutting edge,
Yeah, yeah.
on the bleeding edge of what's
Exactly.
happening.
That's how I feel like at our conference. Some of the speakers, they're like, damn, I've never shared this shit before. But it's like, bro, by the time they're going to even be able to implement the type of shit that you're teaching them, you're going to be already way onto the next thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a big enough pie anyways.
There's
Totally.
a huge
Yeah,
enough pie.
totally.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy?
Mm,
The speakers really didn't want to share a lot of the shit that they shared.
I know.
And I made an agreement that I would blur the slides when we gave them to people and beep all the content out of the actual speech itself of certain things. Like numbers of their business and
Yeah.
like things,
Oh, sure.
things that were like, they're like, I'm really not comfortable sharing these things. I'm
Yeah, like
if you do,
where is
I'll
this
make
going to
sure-
live publicly?
Yeah.
Like, where is this content going to live? Because I don't like the idea of it just
Exactly.
being around.
I give them my word. Listen, only the people in the room at that time will be the ones that see it, and they'll never see it again.
That's fair though.
More than
I
For,
think
not
it's
for
fair. It's
like a-
everything,
it's
but
like
for
a
some
NDA.
information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
but that
I
allowed
like
them
that.
to open the books. It's like me telling you, hey, I'll beep it out if you want me to.
Yeah.
So
No,
now you'll
100%.
share the thing that you're okay getting rid of.
100%. No, and it was super tactical. I mean, but the more that and you guys are in this as well, like the more that I learn about, well, it goes back to this, 50 folds thing. It's like things are changing so fast that your ability to execute at a world-class level, yes, it has to do with your skill, but it also has to do with your ability to like stay on the edge of whatever is the next thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And so you can't rest on your laurels and be like, oh yeah, I'm really good at this type of advertising. It's like, yeah, but in a year and a half, you're totally irrelevant.
Exactly.
There's no
I think
like,
we do a good job at that.
yeah,
Totally.
We innovate so fucking fast just because we're small, but like we're like, this is happening. Find the most qualified person for this to lead the department right now and try to hire them in 2 weeks. Like whatever it fucking takes.
yeah.
Yeah.
We need to move.
One of my favorite books, 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Law number 1 is be first. And law number 2 is if you're not first, create a new niche so you're still first.
Mm.
What's the
like that.
book?
22 Immutable Laws of Marketing.
Eddie's clicking add to cart. He's not even clicking add to cart. He's clicking buy now.
I know. I mean,
Yeah, it's really it's the number 1 marketing book that Tim Ferriss recommends. That's
Oh,
why
wow.
That's what he said that.
yeah, fuck you, Andrew. You want one too? I bet you do.
Do it. $12. Send
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You sure? I'll buy two.
But I think
I'm
that's
in.
true. I mean, that's to the point of like, once you're first, it's hard. I have this friend. Have you guys ever heard of Ohm, the Olympus Dow coin?
The Olympus. Oh, yeah.
Dow coin.
Yes,
so it's like
yes.
they invented this like rebasing idea for. I know we're supposed to be done, but let me quickly say this about crypto. Okay, so there's these new.
I'll always keep it going.
So there's these new. This is super valuable. There's a bunch of, and you can go into like CoinGecko, and there's a category of rebasing DAOs, right? And so what they're doing is they're adding to their treasury in order to be useful on the back end of DEXs as a liquidity provider for DEXs, which is super important for decentralization, right? But they're saying if we're going to have all of the liquidity on the back end be pegged to stable coins, we're actually have our liquidity back to an inflationary asset.
Yeah.
So we need to move away slowly from this idea of stable coins being the major
because they're not really stable.
Because they're not stable.
They're called stable coins because they provide the illusion of stability. Because
Exactly.
you're like, this is always going to equal $1.
Yeah, but the
guess
dollar
what?
is
But
always
the dollar's
losing. Yeah.
going down as fuck.
So everyone's realizing this. Like 2020 was like, kind of when DEXs really started. And so now, I mean, we're only 1 year later, but, and it's so fast. But everyone realized, oh shit, this is a huge problem that we kind of created on the back end of all of the DEXs. So DEXs, decentralized exchanges, someone doesn't know what that is. So like Uniswap or SushiSwap or PancakeSwap or, Thorchain Rune or something like that, right?
MetaMask, right?
Whereas
Yeah,
a
exactly.
centralized exchange would be like Coinbase, some shit like
Gemini,
KuCoin, whatever the fuck.
Crypto.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So in order for them to have the liquidity to be able, it's almost like a market maker of the stock market, right? For them to be able to move the coins around quickly so that when you have a buy order, there's actually a seller. You need liquidity on the back end. Otherwise, there's a run on the banks, if you will, and everyone's like, wait, fuck, I can't sell anything, and then it destroys the whole market. So
Exactly.
you really need the
Happened to
liquidity.
some of my coins.
Yeah, exactly.
Rough year.
Yikes.
Yeah, and so then you like can't sell it because
And you're forever stuck with it.
Yeah, exactly. So this rebasing, this is gonna go back to the like your career, and this is a really this is not a fortune cookie.
I think we closed the fortune cookie.
Yeah. So the idea
We're pontificating upon what the fortune cookie could mean.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you have I think the punchline is actually compound effect. That if you're sharpening the saw faster than other people, you're gonna have a competitive advantage that other people can't compete.
Yeah, yeah.
And it actually gets wider and wider and wider and wider. It's like real fast. And if someone is just starting and they're kind of lazy about it, like they just have no chance. And what happens? I have a friend who's like super deep into crypto. I listen to everything he says, but he got in way earlier than me into Olympus DAO. And they have these crazy APYs. I'm not going to explain why it's not a scam, but basically they're it's a way of like selling additional stock, but like over a long period of time. That's kind of the way it's the way that they're doing it. And they invented this way of like creating a lot of treasury assets, right? And there's been a lot of copycats, but Olympus is like the main one that's still kind of like doing a lot of good work in the back end. And they have these crazy APYs. And so my friend, who I think that I probably invested more in US dollars than him, but because he came in like 2.5 months before me into the compound effect, he's so far ahead of me.
You can say fucking.
In the number of coins that he has. And so now it's like, he's adding, 10 more a day because of his staking or whatever, right?
Yeah, you're never gonna catch up.
I'm just like, I'm not
dump stupid amounts.
It's just I cannot catch up. I gotta to catch up at this point. I gotta put in like $600,000 to like just one coin, to catch up.
Really
it's like and so it's just so funny. And then the last one there was.
And that's why the biggest hedge against this, like if governments are worried about other governments having like way more control over it, the biggest bet you can do is just to buy more.
Yeah, for sure.
Which just strengthens anyone else who's holding it.
Yeah,
pretty insane. Anyways,
yeah,
it's like the only way to beat your enemy is just to buy more of it, which which also strengthens theirs.
Yeah,
it's actually sick. Anyways,
100%. No, but then I was like, listen, I'm not gonna be like how much
that camera died. It's okay.
I was gonna just breeze by it. I leaned forward so I could be in this angle.
I said,
so we can close it out.
I said exactly how many. Like how much? There's a new one that just came out. It's called Redacted Protocol, and it came out like 10 days ago. And he's like, "Okay, this is the next one." And I'm like, when are you going in? He's like, day 1. And I'm like, okay, how much are you going in? And I'm like, I'm matching you exactly. I'm like, you are not building
you're
this,
not beating me,
this stupid thing. I'm
Yeah,
like, this is stupid. I'm like, I know
putting
exactly
1,000, I'm putting
the number
1,200.
of dollars that you're putting into this thing because I am matching you directly.
That's
you know?
so
That's so funny.
And you know what's funny? My wife actually said, she was like, just put in more. Because she's like, we're all like really good friends. You know what I mean? But she's like, if it works, you know, she's like, we want to be ahead of him, you know, like he's so far ahead of us on Olympus. It's so funny.
That's so funny.
That's amazing.
Anyways,
so if someone wants to find you, follow you, get to know
Instagram,
you, where's the
I
best
would say,
resource?
Jonathon.Kendall. You guys can put it in the show notes or something. So
Well,
it's kind of
we'll
spelled
add it.
weird. It's
We'll
like
add it. It's Jonathon.
Jonathon. Yeah.
Jonathon.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
Instagram.
The
is probably
Mexican
the best one.
spelling.
It's a
Is it?
Mexican spelling.
It's like, you know,
Jonathan is like a super English name.
Yeah.
like, you know, like in Lebanon, all these people moved over. They came here with all their Lebanese names and their Lebanese last names, and everyone spelled it differently in English.
like Maloof. Yeah. It's
Maloof
like
is spelled like 5 different ways.
Yeah. No, because my
And I
dad
can't
has a
take
friend.
any of them seriously because
It's
they're
like-
not the way I spell mine.
Yeah. His is MAA. Some of them are just MA.
And
Some
then
of them are
LOOF
LOOF.
or just LOF or
Malof.
1A or not a U.
I feel like
and-
yours is a good way of spelling it. It's probably like kind of confusing to people reading
Mal-
it first.
Loof.
Maloof.
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 Because do you have more emphasis on the ma?
Here's the thing
part?
in
On the ah?
Arabic,
Maloof.
it's ma. Is the noise. It comes from the back of the throat. It's like you're yelling like that. And it's important to know because in Arabic, when you type Arabic in English, like on WhatsApp and shit to your friends, it's 2 A's makes that sound. So technically, now that we've established how to spell it in English and we text a certain way, Maloof has to have 2 A's for it to be said the right way.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? So everyone that spells 1A, you little bitch. I'm just saying on the show this.
One of our social media girls is like Ale or something. It's like, but it's 2 A's, and everyone's like, you don't say it right. She's like, you've never said my name right, like in the history of my name.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. I'm trying.
That's too funny. So Jonathon Kendall, we'll put it on.
Put it.
But there's audio people, so like just spell it out real quick.
JONATHON.KENDALL.
Just in case.
Boom. They'll find you.
Thank you again for coming, man.
Thank you.
He flew in all the way from Puerto Rico for this.
Holy
podcast,
shit.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
That was the only
Across oceans. Well, no. I don't know. All right.
But thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time.
You too.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the 4Media Uncut podcast. If you want to work with us, learn with us, or even join the team and be a part of what we're doing at 4Media Marketing, just go to our website. It's 4media.marketing. No .com, no .net, .marketing, because that's all we do around here. And most importantly, share this with a friend wherever you're listening to or watching this on. Please hit that share button, send it over to a friend, someone else that you think will get value out of this. It would mean the world to us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video and comment down below any suggestions for future guests. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please rate this 5 stars and leave us a review there. That helps us tremendously in the algorithm world. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of 4Media Uncut Podcast.